at simplegreen.com.
Right now at Wendy's, try their brand new fries for yourself. Made with real natural cut potatoes and guaranteed to be hot and crispy every time, these fries aren't an afterthought. They're fries you won't forget at participating U.S. Wendy's.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
We're going to close out the week with 3 full hours of why the Bearcats were not screwed by the committee. How about that? I know everyone was hoping that that's what we would do today. And, if you want, if that's what you guys want, there we go. We're definitely going to talk some college football playoffs today, or at least college football in general. Big Saturday coming up. We're going to talk about which of the top 10 teams, or at least the playoff contending teams right now, who's most likely to get upset. I know, real original, but we're going to do that. It's a Friday. We're going to be a little loosey-goosey today more than usual, as opposed to the very finely buttoned up program that we usually have on a day-to-day basis. Kev tries to keep the train on the track, but it's kind of hard when I'm constantly, bumping it off. So we'll see how good a job Kev does today.
Yes, it's all on my shoulders.
It's like when I do a bad job, it's like, well, you're supposed to do a bad job. So there's that. But again, happy Friday. Excited for today's show. Don't want to spend a lot of time on in fact, what we're going to open up with is Odell Beckham Jr. What we are not going to spend a lot of time on is, well, whose fault is it? Why didn't it work in Cleveland? Because the bottom line is, who cares? I see a lot of headlines today that OBJ got what he wanted, and I'm like, he got what he wanted, but don't make it sound like he got what he wanted. I think the Browns got what they wanted too, because ultimately what it feels like is a fresh start for both sides. The Cleveland Browns made it official earlier today. They restructured his contract. It's more of a signing bonus to take some money off the cap to make him more at least interesting when he's on waivers. The waiver line is dead over the weekend, so we really won't know how this kind of ends until next week. We know it's over in Cleveland, and that's all that matters at this point. So I don't really care whose fault it was and all that stuff. Bottom line is, what's funny? You know how I always say you can always make numbers sing and dance. I can find a entire Bible's length worth of stats that show OBJ screwed over the Browns, and you could find another 100 different stats that show that, that the Browns let him down. The bottom line is the only thing that they did together as a team was let each other down. That I think that's really what it comes down to. We talk about that, make numbers sing and dance. Whatever side you're on, your team Odell, your team Baker, it doesn't even have to be team Baker. If you're just team organization Browns and team Odell, we can both go and we can make quite the research. We could type out quite the research paper of whose fault it was, and we still wouldn't come to a conclusion, because that's how much of a mess it's been for the last 3 years.
Big mess, huge mess, and now it's over. And now he's moving on to a new team. He'll probably know something about early next week who will be playing for. Browns got a big matchup this Sunday versus the Bengals to get right back into playoff contention. It's a huge opportunity for them. So, like you said, it's a wrap. It's over. It's officially over. Odell's time is over in Cleveland.
So now it's all about the Browns moving forward without Odell Beckham Jr. Now, where he could end up, you're hearing the Raiders, the Saints, I guess, were one, if not the only team that really kicked the tires on a potential trade offer at the deadline that the Browns did not accept, of course. There's going to be interest there. I guess, on the waiver line, you see teams like the Lions and the Jaguars and other bad teams who would be in that order to acquire him if they wanted him. And I saw, Adam Schefter put out today, here's the teams that could potentially grab him. And, they had Odell in the Jaguars jersey. And I said, holy smokes, Jacksonville. The Florida Gators are a Odell Beckham Jr. to Jacksonville away from him returning to his old team, because Urban Meyer does not need help self-destructing his first year in Cleveland. He doesn't need, or in Jacksonville. He doesn't need help. If he really wants to put an end to his time in Jacksonville, go ahead and bring Odell Beckham Jr. over. We'll see how that goes. But, I don't see him going to, I guess it's not up to him. one of those teams. I think Torrey Holtz. I forgot who it was. Torrey Smith. I can't remember. Earlier today, I can't remember. I got to go find the tweet. But they hate the waiver wire when it comes to that. Like if me and you are fired from our job, although you would have a non-compete technically restricting where we would go within a certain parameter. But like it is kind of crazy to me that in sports, especially football in this situation right here, like let OBJ pick where he wants to go.
Right.
Why is it that, you get out of this bad situation that's for him and for Cleveland? At first I was annoyed with the tweet and then I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, huh? Because if I get fired, I can go work wherever the hell I want. And OBJ technically gets fired if that's, mutually parting ways, however you want to work. But now he has to wait to see which team picks him again. I hate that. It's all done for competitive balance. You can argue that the NFL does about as good a job of that as any sport out there. So it's hard to argue their reasoning for it. But I do hate this situation right here. Let him pick where he wants to go. They released him. They've parted ways, and now he has to sit here and wait for a potential bad team like the Lions or the Jags to maybe pick him up. I mean, let's be real. Like, I don't even think that's good for football. What Lions getting him? What does that do for football? What does that do for anything right now? It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd love to see him pick where he wants to go, and I think that would speak volumes about the quarterback that he picks too. Because I also don't think that he would work out in Detroit. So why would Detroit even kick the tires on that?
Yeah, the thing about the waiver wire is your representation tells you. The organization, we don't want to come here. So you might as well not even do it.
That's what led to the mess in Cleveland, technically, to kind of begin with. I mean, I think he tried to warm up to the idea, but it just didn't work. But if you're not mentally into something, I mean, just think about, we like living in this city. If me and you picked another city to go work, we would pick that city that we would go work. But if someone says, okay, you got to go work in Oklahoma or, Kansas or, Iowa or something like that, to Cincinnati, I mean, my goodness, we'd be miserable. I'm joking about the Cincinnati, but you see my point. Like, we'd be miserable if someone said, you have to go work here. We're making you go work here. We'd be miserable. And that's kind of what happened to OBJ, possibly in Cleveland, and definitely if he gets picked up by Detroit or Jacksonville.
And that's the part about them restructuring his deal. He had, about $8-9 million left on the contract. They left most of that as a signing bonus, so he gets all that money up front, so only leaving $1 million left on salary. So if he gets picked up by a team that he doesn't want to go to, he'll simply not report, and it really won't affect him because he already got his money up front. So he'll ultimately end up going to a team that he wants to go to. I'm sure there's like a handful of teams that he wants to go to. And who are some of the teams that you think he will want to go to?
I mean, I keep hearing the Saints, and I'm like, well, they go to the Saints because they have Sean Payton. He's an offensive-minded head coach. He just left a franchise that had an offensive-minded head coach.
I think he would go there if Jameis was still there.
And I still think that that's dangerous too. And if you're and here's why, because you got Jameis Winston back on track. Let's say he's healthy still. If I'm Sean Payton and the Saints, I wouldn't touch OBJ if you had. I mean, I get why it would make sense. I'm not making excuses for Baker, but clearly the mental part of the game for Baker was he couldn't get over the hurdle of trying to balance having a balanced offensive attack, trying to balance that with making OBJ his prime target. You finally get Jameis back on track, and now you want to give him a receiver. But then again, I would love to see how he played with Michael Thomas.
Exactly.
Too. But
as you notice, as soon as Jameis Winston went down for the season, that's when Michael Thomas was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing the season." Yeah. Like he was trying to come back this season, and as soon as the quarterback that had potential and he was showing that potential, he was out. And I think that's what the OBJ situation is too. Like if Jameis was there, I think he would have showed up, and then Michael Thomas would have came back, and then
that's not that would have been punch.
Yeah.
1-2 punch if OBJ returns to New York.
Right.
OBJ. Otherwise, OBJ is just one of many average to below average receivers. I think he's somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's as bad as what he was in Cleveland, but I also don't think he's as good as what he was in New York. But only time will tell. Just for the sake of being a sports radio host, I kind of hope he goes and kills it somewhere, just because it leads to more fuel and fire to go back at Cleveland. And it's always the finger pointing game. The Raiders get brought up. The thing is, like the Rams. I mean, that's boring to me.
It's always the Rams.
It's always, yeah.
The Rams are always on the table. I mean, look at that salary cap. Not bad. I personally think my top 3 destinations for him would be the Rams, obviously the Packers, the Ravens, and who else did I say? I said I had a 4th team in there.
Seattle?
I didn't have Seattle. My brother said Seattle.
Yeah, I think
forget the
William on
that I
Facebook.
said.
He just said, William on Facebook. He just said, oh yeah, he's heard Seattle like 400 times today.
Really?
As far as that goes. Now again, that's assuming that he picks where he wants to go.
Right.
Like he picks where
What's the update with Russ? I mean, I know he got the pin out of his finger, but
that's why if you pick where you want to go, though, they're still kind of messy right now. But you have Metcalf. I mean, kind of nice little one.
Lockett and Metcalf out there already.
So that's actually not bad. We always talk about him not having help out there. He does have help, but it's
their problem ain't offense.
Yeah, it's the defense. So I don't know. I mean, it adds an extra element of of a weapon, but I don't think it fixes Seattle's issues, and of course, health issues being the number one issue.
Can he play DB?
Yep, that's
what they need.
Well, he's been breaking up his passes a lot this year in Cleveland, so he's kind of has he has a step there as far as that's concerned. But as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, now they get to move on without OBJ, and I think that honestly, like that's the best. This is actually like a good thing. This is why I have a hard time wrapping my head around this OBJ thing, Kev. I can't think of one example where an elite player goes to a team and that
Patriots. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that was my other one. That was my other one. Sorry.
I can't think of an example in the history of sports, and maybe I'm missing something, where an elite player goes to a team and makes them worse. And then when that elite player is injured, the team plays better. The only example I could come up with was Kyrie Irving to Boston. But I still think that we've seen more of Kyrie Irving at his best to solidify him as an actual great, to say that, as opposed to OBJ, who I don't know what great for him is. We saw stints of it, obviously, in New York, and that in a very quick amount of time. Not stints. I mean, it was a very quick window of dominance for him that led to that big payday, that led to him being put into that upper echelon of wide receivers in the National Football League. But I can't think of it. And the racking my brain around this, and I'm like, I just don't understand what people were wanting out of Cleveland in regards to, man, he was open, throw it to him. So you want to lessen the offense, you want to lessen Baker Mayfield, you want to lessen everything just to continue feeding him. Like, what's the number one priority here? Getting him the ball or getting the ball to anybody that can help advance the ball down the field? I'm getting back into what I didn't want to get into, so let's sidetrack that. But I can't think of an example where an athlete is great and makes a team worse. I just can't think of one. Kyrie's the closest example I can come up with, and that's why I'm having a hard time buying into OBJ being elite and going to another team and opening up. Randy Moss had a similar situation in Oakland back in the mid 2000s before going to New England, and then of course had his best stretch outside of Minnesota there. So who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, the concept, I think the reason people, even though there's so many stats backing, I mean, the proof is there. The Browns' Baker's best stretch through his entire career was without OBJ. When OBJ's on the field, bad Baker's there. When he's off the field, good Baker's there. The results are not only the stats, but the overall win losses, which ultimately that's all that matters. Do you want a bunch of losses and OBJ having 98 yards receiving a game and a touchdown a game? Or do you want the mess that was OBJ and the Browns would still be winning if it wasn't for health? Keep in mind, Cleveland right now, everyone's like, man, I saw someone tweet me today. Oh, how do you feel about their Super Bowl chances now? I thought they were. You realize that with all the injuries and all the chaos and all the mess, they only have one less win in week 8 than they did in week 8 a year ago. They were 5-3 last year, and heading into week 9, they're 4-4 this year. You would think this is a 2-win team. You would think that this team hasn't won a game. Cleveland's in good shape moving forward. I think they'll be fine. But man, it is very interesting to see the perception of the fallout of who's going to land on their feet, OBJ or Cleveland. What's the chances of both of them doing it? I think Cleveland has a better chance just because collectively we've already seen the proof that they are a very good playoff winning team without him.
Very polarizing dude, from his fashion, from his flamboyance, from his early success on the NFL field and everything like that, from obviously that catch that made him a millionaire 10 times over and everything like that, from the big contract that he got with the Giants to the trade to the Browns to things not working out. He's a very polarizing person. And ultimately, neither team got what they wanted. Nobody got what they wanted. Because the Browns wanted him to ball out. He wanted to ball out. He wanted that connection to work out with Baker, because we haven't heard anything different from him for that. The blow up is now. And you know what? The blow up never came from him. You never heard him say anything verbally. You never seen him kick a net like he did with the Giants. It's amazing that a tweet from LeBron James and a repost on IG had this much impact. You know what I'm saying? Like the passive aggressiveness from Odell, because I do believe that like this is stirred up from somewhere. They just didn't post this out of nowhere. I mean, the struggles from OBJ and the Browns have been there for 3 years. And now, right before the trade deadline, LeBron decides like, yeah, this is the time to post this. Free OBJ. His dad decides that. No, this was something that was contrived from whomever. But like we talked about to kick the show off, it's over. Like, he's going to get X amount of dollars to be a signing bonus. He'll get picked up by somebody in waivers, and we'll see what happens, because ultimately he's not going to be on the field on Sunday when they play the Bengals.
Yep, and if you're a Bengals fan, you should be concerned because the Browns just got better. The second it was made official that OBJ is gone, the Browns got better. And the Browns, look, this week is interesting heading into this. I thought when the Browns lost against Pittsburgh last week and the Bengals had that really bad. By the way, how about them Jets last night? How about the Jets last night? I mean, that's the team you guys lost to. I mean, my goodness. Jets. How about that team is who you lost to? But anyways, the Bengals lose to the Jets last week. The Browns lose to the Steelers, but they lost because of OBJ, and the problem's gone now, so I'm not worried about the Browns anymore. But
that's why they lost?
All the chaos. It was boiling over.
Okay.
With that being said, I thought, man, that matchup, I was like, man, we couldn't enjoy a good Browns-Bengals matchup. They both had to lose. They both had to kind of dilute the build to the matchup. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But right now, I just feel like everything, like, it's huge right now. And I think it's because of the OBJ drama. There's just more intrigue. There's more storylines now. There's so much to, both have a lot on the line. The Browns, people keep referring to them, the last place Browns. Yes, they're last place. They are last in the AFC North, but they're not your traditional last place team. They're not your winless Lions. They're not your one-win Texans, and they're not, what I mean? Like, they're not these disaster. I mean, those are technically real last place teams. Whenever there's a game and a half that separates last to first, I mean, everyone is just kind of in a big jumbled, mess there in the middle, which makes this game against the Bengals so important coming up. But with OBJ gone, and now the Browns, really it's a humongous game. I saw Jake Trotter covers the Browns for ESPN. He tweeted out that, look, this is the biggest game of Baker Mayfield's career. It's the biggest game of the season for the Cleveland Browns to this point to get back on track, but it is the biggest game of Baker's career because all eyes are on him to fail. All eyes are on him to fail. Everyone's waiting for him to fail. What cracks me up, though, is that you guys act like this Sunday without OBJ, that this is the first time you've seen Baker without OBJ. Where did Keith Tolliver go? Keith Tolliver I think he woke up today and said, my goal is to say the silliest things possible. Keith Tolliver says, all the hate and name calling directed towards OBJ. Mayfield better ball out. No more excuses. Just last year, trade Baker for Ryan. Now Baker is a star. Well, Keith, I'm glad you brought that up. Last year when I was talking about Baker, trading him for Matt Ryan, if Matt Ryan was available, it was because Baker was throwing for about 170, 180 yards a game. Baker was throwing interceptions. Baker was not moving the ball up and down the field. And then, not saying I'm happy somebody got hurt, but there's a particular individual that got hurt. And then the offense totally turned around. So, Keith, when you say silly things like Baker better ball out, well, we've seen Baker ball out. In fact, all of Baker's best games and all of Baker's best years have been without Odell Beckham Jr. So you're like, he better prove it. He's already proven it. You guys act like you guys, the hate for him is so through the roof that you guys ignore things that have already happened. Oh, he has something to prove. You mean like leading his team to the playoffs, winning 12 games last year? Like something like that. Like, I know that doesn't mean that he doesn't have to do anything moving forward. I'm just saying you guys keep putting these obstacles in front of him as if he hasn't already slashed all of these to begin with. So I'm just saying, like, I get what you're doing. I know you're upset. I know you don't like Baker Mayfield. He drives you nuts, and that's totally fine. But that's what makes this week so fun, this build up to the Bengals and the Browns this weekend. I can't wait, Kev. Like, I can't remember the last time. In fact, I don't know the last time the Browns and Bengals met this much. Like, there is so much on the line. There's going to be so many eyes on this game. For one, it's going to be everyone in OBJ's side is going to be watching this game, wanting to watch Baker fail, wanting to watch him fail. There's going to be some people like me who can't wait to watch Baker play without him again so we could return to see what we saw last year. Keep in mind, the only game OBJ didn't play in this year goes all the way, he didn't play in 2, but Baker didn't play in 1. That was against the Jets, not the Jets. Who do they play that Thursday night game? Broncos. But he didn't play. Baker, coincidentally enough, his second best game of the season was against the Chiefs back in week 1. He had 300 passing yards and touchdowns and all that fun stuff. since OBJ came back, we haven't seen Baker throw for over 250 yards except for that Chargers game, and he didn't play in that Chargers game. So, or no, he did play. He had that drop in the Chargers game. I'm sorry. So the bottom line is the proof is there. You've witnessed it. You've seen Baker without OBJ. We've already seen him have the success without OBJ. So stop with this tired, lazy narrative that Baker has something to prove. Every year, quarterbacks have something to prove. Aaron Rodgers won an MVP last year. He had to come in this year with something to prove. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, won a Super Bowl last year. He had something to prove. So stop with these stupid, he has to prove something narratives. It's lazy. It's embarrassing. You got to do better. Because, of course, he has to prove. Your quarterback has something to prove. Your quarterback just lost to the team that got embarrassed on Thursday Night Football last night.
Here come the stray shots.
But the stray shots were fired first, my friend. I came in.
We talking about the Browns, though.
We know where the venom's coming from with Mr. Keith Tolliver over here. So there's that. But anyways, what were we talking about?
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, okay, I will. Leads us to this part of the conversation. But the Browns and Jets. The Browns and the team that lost to the Jets, the Cincinnati Bengals, coming up this Sunday, 1:00 to kick off. And I can't tell you how excited I am for that. But no, I think that's what I was trying to say was I can't remember the last time the Browns and Bengals had this much on the line heading into a matchup. And that's what I'm pumped about. And that's big for the AFC North. It's big for football in general.
Yeah, most definitely. And you'll be in the building.
Yes, I'm going.
50-yard line?
No, Baker actually.
I know. That's why I know you on his payroll.
Yeah, well, Baker's dad reached out and said, "Hey, can you help me make this video, whatever?" So I'm helping him, making this OBJ video.
And I figure his wife would have told you to make a video. She loves social media.
Oh, well, there's some jokes in there, but I'm gonna. Never mind. Nope. Be good. 518-1410, 518-1410. Just again, not Jarvis, I'm sorry, OBJ gone in Cleveland. I actually think it's a good thing. I actually think, as crazy as this sounds, I do think that this has given this Browns team a little bit of life. And keep in mind, the way you guys talk about this Browns team is as if they're dead and buried. As I said, last year they won 12 games with, of course, that's including the playoff win they had against the Steelers. They were 5-3, 8 weeks in. The Browns last year had one more win than the Browns do this year, and the Browns have not been healthy this year. The Browns have had multiple games with their entire offensive line out. They've missed Kareem Hunt for weeks. Nick Chubb finally just came back last week. Come on, you guys are smarter than that. You think I wouldn't give the Bengals the benefit of the doubt if that's the case? I would still find ways to make my little jabs, but even I could understand. It's the same thing when Joe Burrow went out last year. When Joe Burrow went down for the season, I didn't sit there and tune in each week expecting to watch the Bengals play at a high level. No, because injuries. That's not an excuse. It's just the reality of the situation. But when we come back, 518-1410, we'll continue talking about this Bengals and this Browns matchup coming up on Sunday. Joe Burrow against Baker Mayfield. That's my number one thing I'm going to be watching this coming up Sunday, watching how both of those two just go back and forth. Keep in mind, they've gone head to head twice. And both of them were beyond fun to watch. Both of them very good games. In fact, the last one, Baker Mayfield and the Browns just came out on top because they had the ball last. I have no doubt that if the Bengals had the ball last, they would have came away with that victory. That's how fun that matchup was last year. You had almost 800 combined passing yards between the two quarterbacks. You had 8 touchdowns between the two quarterbacks. The matchup was unbelievable last year. That's what I want to talk about. What are we in store for? Kev Nash will bring us over under Browns-Bengals edition when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. That means that 82% of you listening right now will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. If you're hiring, 82% of you will recall that ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And 82% of you will note that you can try ZipRecruiter for free today. But you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. 82% of you will keep in mind that ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
Scott, is that you? Who are you talking to?
82% of you will also know that I live with my mom. But the most important thing to note is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Will you be part of the 82% who remember where you can try ZipRecruiter for free? It's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Again, that exclusive link is ZipRecruiter.com/free. How much? Free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, this is Paul Keels, voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Keep your home comfort system running smoothly and efficiently with regular checkups from Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. Butler has been proudly serving the Miami Valley since 1949. Don't wait until your equipment breaks. Call Butler today at 937-253-8871. That's 937-253-8871. Go Butler and go Bucks.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Black Friday starts now at JCPenney. And this Friday through Sunday, shop early and save with thousands of new Black Friday deals while they last. Sparkle everyone's stocking with up to 75% off all fine jewelry. Plus, stock up on Home Expressions bath towels, now only $2.99 each. These deals and many more end Sunday. Happy Black Friday, JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 11/5 to 11/7. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. I buy properties as is. Make no repairs. Take what you want and leave the rest behind. We make selling easy. I buy vacant properties, pre-foreclosures, and inherited homes. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorces, death in the family, back taxes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got some squeaky wipers? Sounds like it's time for a new set. We've got deals to help you get the job done and get ready for rainy fall weather. Right now, you can get a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Rain-X Silicone Advantage wipers. And we've even got more ways to shop, like our free same-day store pickup and next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Lance Roofing and Siding would like to remind you that daylight savings time ends this Sunday at 2 a.m. It's time to fall back and set your clocks back an hour. A friendly reminder from your friends at Lance Roofing and Siding, here for your roofing and siding improvements. Online at lanceroofing.com.
If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed helps you attract, screen, and interview quality candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Friday, Justin Kenner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are live on Facebook. Search the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page. Jump in the conversation there. You can also, of course, subscribe to the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel where you can watch the show weekdays from 3 to 6. You can also watch the Keith Byers Show every Monday from noon to 1. Sunday morning tailgate show live from Frickers on 741 in Miamisburg, which Kev Nash and Keith Byers will be live this Sunday, bringing you the Sunday morning tailgate show, recapping college football Saturday and getting you set for the big slate of Week 9 NFL Sunday games, including the Browns and the Bengals, which is set for a 1 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to that game. I'm pretty jacked about it, to be quite honest, and rightfully so. Look, this matchup has a lot on the line because, a week ago, Bengals fans were chirping. Everyone was super jacked. They weren't just number one in the AFC North. If the playoffs had started, last week, the Bengals would have been the number one overall seed in the AFC. My, how the mighty have fallen. And that's what happens when you lose to the Jets, Jets. To be fair, I have to get my digs in for that. Because of the playoff and because of the OBJ drama, I haven't really got it. I haven't had time to make fun of you guys for losing to the very bad Jets. I mean, by the way, kind of a tough week for Ohio teams, by the way, between the Bearcats, who were not screwed over by the committee, but screwed over by the committee in the eyes of Bearcat fans. Shocker. Between Cincinnati losing to the Jets. Between the, all the drama in Cleveland after losing to Pittsburgh. And then you have, of course, Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, all I got to say is thank goodness we have Ohio State football.
Right.
It was a tough week because a week ago, everyone was riding high. The Browns were getting healthy. They had everyone coming back. They were supposed to kick the Steelers' ass. The Bengals at that point were 5-2, and they were about to be 6-2 heading into this matchup with the Browns, and it was supposed to be a battle for first place. And Cincinnati was number 2 in the country, according to the app. And the app got it wrong because the app don't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about the college football playoff poll. So, it was just how time's changing quickly, Kev. I mean, OBJ was still part of the Browns last week. If you think about this week, a lot happened. If you think back to last Friday, real quick, I'm going to summarize it one more time. Cincinnati was number 2 in the country last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals were in first place. They would have been, the number 1 seed in the playoffs. They would have the first round bye had the playoffs started then. The Browns were healthy. They were, talking smack, get ready to beat up on your Steelers. And they still had Odell Beckham. And here we are a week later. Bengals in the middle of the pack because they lost to the Jets. The Cleveland Browns look like a soap opera or the stories that your grandparents would watch, on local TV growing up. Cincinnati, their fans, they finally were able to get excited about game day being in town once they dried their tears and stopped acting like a bunch of crybabies. And then here we are heading into this weekend. And the Bengals, I can't tell if this noise with OBJ is good or bad for the Browns on Sunday. I know that Bengals fans are chirping at me saying, hey, there's been a distraction while you're dealing with the soap opera of OBJ. We've been prepping to beat you. I normally would agree with that from the outside looking in, but I feel like because there's so much to prove in regards to, for one, they're 4-4, technically in last place in the AFC North. They want to, show that they're healthy now, and they want to get back to where pick up basically where they left off last year. They basically just wasted the first 2 months of the season dealing with injuries, dealing with the OBJ drama. And for whatever reason, as a Browns fan, and Browns fans, you could agree or disagree, but I feel like this is week 1. I feel like it's a fresh start. I feel like of all the disaster, of everything that's gone on in the first 8 weeks of the season, the fact that the Browns only have one less win than they did a year ago at this time, in a year in which last year they made the playoffs and won a playoff game, I think all things considered, the Browns are in actually pretty good shape because they could be a lot. It could be a lot worse. They could be a 2 or 3 win team. They could be buried right now, and they're within a game and a half. We're talking about last place, but they're a game and a half out of first place in the division. So what are you talking? Yes, they're last. Can't deny that. But I feel like this OBJ stuff just kind of, it's forcing them to unite as a team. will that be the case? We'll find out on Sunday. Sunday, I mean, we'll know who this Browns team is and what they're made of on Sunday, because they're not just facing the Bengals or not just fighting the Bengals for, playoff positioning and seeding in the division. It's about whether or not they have anything left in the tank emotionally for the rest of the year. And I really do. I'm not buying into that whole Baker plays motivated with the chip on his shoulder and blah, blah, blah. I hate that stuff. I don't buy into that. But I do believe that OBJ being gone, Baker can return to just playing comfortable football, moving the ball wherever the heck he wants, and doesn't have to worry about the stress of OBJ on the side. I actually think it almost feels like a refresh, a reset for the Cleveland Browns heading into Sunday. Regardless of the opponent, I just feel like this scenario right here has kind of taken the chains off of the Browns a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Still think it's do or die. I think it's do or die for the Browns. If they win this game, obviously they're right back in it. But if they lose, I think it's curtains. I think it's a wrap for the season.
I've said that earlier in the week too. I don't think they're dead and buried, but they're buried alive, I guess. I don't know how you want to I agree, because it's like I said, this feels like it's much bigger than just facing the Bengals on Sunday. Yes, they're facing the Bengals, a division opponent, but I feel like they're kind of facing the ghost of themselves a little bit. Like, are they the old Browns? Or are they the new Browns that they were able to establish last year? That's going to be the big question. Chad Kinser on Facebook says, on his question, do you think it could have been a combo of Baker and OBJ? And by that, I mean Baker not knowing what to do with all the talent and OBJ trying hard to get back to his old self. Well, no, and I appreciate that question. Yes, I think it was a combination of the two, but I don't think it had anything to do with Baker trying to balance all that talent. Baker won with all that talent last year. That's why, I am just like flabbergasted at the perception of all of this. I'm like, how can you look at the stats? How can you look at the results? And ultimately, forget the stats. You can make numbers sing and dance, but you can't make results sing and dance. And results are all that matters. And the results are this Cleveland Browns team, this roster, it's pretty much the same roster as last year, minus OBJ now. This was the roster that led them to the playoffs last year. So I don't know what you mean by Baker trying to figure out how to balance all the talent. He balanced all the talent last year. He's pretty talented himself. I know you guys don't want to believe that, but I do believe it was OBJ also trying to force himself to get back. There was that report that leaked last night too, that, and again, this is the whole, everyone's trying to save face. A lot of the reasons that OBJ is wide open in those videos, and you can take this for whatever it's worth. But, the NFL, I forgot the NFL's reporter. I got to go find her name. But she had tweeted out that reports are coming out that, yes, OBJ is open a lot in those videos. But you got to consider the source and the style of offense the Browns run. He ran his own routes. He did his own thing. If they said to run a post route, he'd go straight down the sideline. He would do his own thing. So Baker, who it's a progression read, goes to check his progressions. Sure, OBJ's open over here, but he's not running the route that was designed for that play. Baker's looking to follow the progressions. Now you could say Patrick Mahomes would have found him open, possibly. Baker's not Patrick Mahomes, though. Like, people keep trying to hold him to these Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes standards, and he's not Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. OBJ is supposed to be a team player, supposed to be an elite wide receiver. Not all elite wide receivers go to bat for themselves, and that's what he was doing. I know he's open. Probably could have gotten the ball more, obviously, than what he did. But when you start, doing what he's doing, running his own plays like that, Kev, it does make it very difficult to try and incorporate him into the offense. And there's probably a reason they look so flat when he's on the field, because they can't get in a rhythm, because they're not getting in a rhythm, because the play's not working out the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. You can't be out there freelancing. You can freelance on a broken play. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or you can freelance when you have a rapport with your quarterback. Granted, it ended badly, but the Steelers with Big Ben and AB, they were known for freelancing. They would give each other a look. Even though hey, man, we supposed to be running this play, I'm giving you the look because I see this coverage. You know what to do because we're on the same page. They didn't have that connection that Big Ben and AB had, or even that connection that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have, you know what I'm saying, where they see it exactly the same. And that takes a lot of reps, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're running option routes and things of that nature, Julian Edelman and Tom Brady had that connection. They would see things the exact same way. And when you don't have those reps, and then there's injuries involved, and then there's losing involved, you lose confidence in yourself, you lose confidence in the person that's throwing you the ball, maybe you're losing confidence in the play caller, things just go awry. And like we talked about to kick off the show, he's not on the team no more.
This kind of reminds me too, like in baseball, like Luis Castillo, for instance. Like they started looking at, Luis Castillo's a good pitcher for the Reds, but his best games came, him and Tucker Barnhart were a package deal. Like Tucker had to catch for him, and there was, and everyone was like, well, so when Tucker wasn't the catcher, they started noticing that he didn't pitch as well when Tucker Barnhart was not the catcher. So they started looking at the numbers and realized, oh man, even though we want Tyler Stevenson or we want, this catcher out on, because of the lineups and because of the way that the numbers, for the advanced analytics are putting that into place, they don't want Barnhart in the lineup that night, but they need him in the lineup because they need him catching for Luis Castillo. And when Castillo didn't have him to pitch to, his numbers were significantly worse. I think his ERA was off by like a run and a half, which is a big deal in baseball, especially when you only get 3 innings to pitch because of David Bell. Just joking, kind of. But the point is we see that in other sports. We see that where chemistry matters. And at the end of the day, we could sit here and talk about, well, Baker didn't throw it to him when he was open and OBJ runs his own routes. Well, the numbers show that, statistically, the percentage wise of this and blah, blah, blah. All of that means nothing because you know what? Sometimes you just can't force the square peg in a round hole. And it was just chemistry. And of course, at the end, it all just blew up in everyone's face. And right now, I just think it's a win-win. OBJ is going to move on to a better situation for him. And the Browns, they get to return to the better situation that was a year ago. So Theo Mims says, so it's all on OBJ, really? Theo, are you saying, really? You're blaming OBJ? Or are you saying, really, it's on OBJ? I don't know your tone on Facebook, so if you respond, I'll gladly take that to, see what we have going on. Keith responded back and said, the Browns need to actually realize that they have a running game. They're third in the NFL in rushing. What do you mean? He had a bad game against the Steelers. No excuse. The Steelers have a good run defense at the same time, but at the same, Nick Chubb, what cracks me up. Did you know Nick Chubb's third in the NFL in total yards rushing? He's missed 2 games and he only ran for 60 yards against the Steelers. So how Nick Chubb, what do you mean they don't know how they have a run game? Nick Chubb, third in the NFL in rushing, has missed 2 games, only had 60 yards against the Steelers and still has more yards, still has only 2 running backs ahead of him for total yards. I mean, that's pretty
that's
impressive.
The thing that puzzled me this week. People were complaining about oh man, they weren't running the ball enough. They weren't running the ball enough. I'm like, you do realize they are playing the Steelers, right? It's the Steelers. They got a great run defense. The secondary is, above average, but the run defense has been good for, I don't know, what decade is this? You know what I mean? That's what they do. So that's almost like saying oh man, Zeke only had 30 yards in week 1 versus Tampa Bay. Well, with Tampa Bay, they shut down the run. That's why they didn't run the ball. It is what it is. I mean, it's kind of pointless. Almost. I mean, I know you have to have your identity and everything like that. And if he pops one, that's great. But, outside of that first drive where he popped a 15-yard run and another 10-yard run, I really don't remember him popping anything longer than, 3 or 4 yards throughout the rest of that game. And everything like that. Dearness Johnson had a nice cutback for that touchdown and everything like that. But, ultimately, you got to, some point, it can't always be oh, man, we blew it. Oh, it was OBJ's fault. It was Jarvis's fault because he fumbled the ball. Well, you know what? Your opponent had something to do with that, too. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't oh, Jarvis caught the ball and just bloop, dropped out of his hand. It got punched out of his hand. And that's what I like to try to talk about. I'm in the credit giving business. Oh, man, he got chased down by T.J. Watt, one of the best defenders in the NFL. That type of stuff happens. Oh, man, he got the ball roughhoused from his hands on a PBU by Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's what he does. So at some point, it can't always just be oh, man, we blew it. We suck. It's Baker's fault because this happened. It's OBJ's fault because this happened. It's coach's fault because this happened. You're going up against one of the best defenses in the league. So, you're not about to be out here putting up 40 like you did versus the Chargers. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
No, and I get that. And see, this is why, I don't know what the right answer there is because you're right. Sometimes you don't lose. Sometimes you just get beat.
Yes.
But the problem is Cleveland has a pattern of losing. And it's tough to give the Steelers credit when they played as poor as they did as well. But again, not defensively, of course, but offensively. I mean, it was an ugly game. It was. I have a lot of friends and family that's Pittsburgh fans too, and they weren't. I was expecting to have more chirping coming my way when the Steelers won. It's I felt like some of you Steelers fans were yeah, I don't know how the hell we won that one. We played like crap offensively, but you guys just played worse.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's really what it came.
You've been watching. I mean, obviously you've been watching. You watched the Steelers the second half of last season, early this season. The offense is putrid. It's a tough watch. I was surprised that the Steelers were able to run the ball as well as they did. I know Najee had like a little bit over 90 yards. I was surprised that he was able to do that. I was surprised that Big Ben hasn't thrown an interception in like 4 weeks. Knock on wood. Hopefully he doesn't throw one on Monday Night Football. I mean, they're playing better, but I mean, goodness, 15 points. Like, that's nothing to brag about. I mean, you know, it was to the point where Coach Tomlin felt like he needed to call a fake field goal to try to score a touchdown. And that ultimately ended up in the kicker getting a concussion. And then, oh man, now we can't kick the ball because our backup holder is our quarterback. We can't afford our old quarterback to be bending down to catch a snap or get kicked in the hand by our punter. So, like, it was a domino effect. And I think that's what, like, Browns fans are looking at. Like, look, man, we just lost to a team that didn't have a kicker, to a dude that's 40-some years old who's fat and out of shape and all this type of stuff, and we still couldn't win. But on the other hand, that defense is getting healthier. So do I think that defense is going to carry my team to the playoffs? No. This is 2021, man. You got to score some type of points in this league. At some point, you can't be out here averaging 16 points a game and expect to go to the playoffs. This ain't 1984. You know what I mean? So, yes, I was super happy that we got a win and everything like that, but I'm not delusional or anything like that. But, you know, when you're going up a Pittsburgh Steelers defense and they're playing that physical and that well, at some point you got to start giving, like, the other team credit. It can't just always be like, oh, we messed up. Oh, if this would have happened, if this person would have did that, we'd have won. Like, yo, dude fumbled. Yeah, for sure. He got ball got punched out from a dude that used to be on that team who punched it out on an episode of Hard Knocks. You know what I'm saying? So, like, people just got to relax. Just got to relax a little bit.
The problem is, here's why you can't relax, is because if that happened in the second quarter, so be it. Some of OBJ's drops. This is why some of OBJ's drops were bigger deals than most, is because it's one thing if you drop a pass in the first quarter, you know, a couple minutes into the second quarter, but it does seem that a lot of the Browns' mistakes, even if good defensive plays are made, I have a hard time believing that every opponent always just happens to make a timely, great defensive play against the Cleveland Browns with the game on the line. So I'm acknowledging that you are right, that sometimes you don't lose, sometimes you just get beat. But I mean, the Browns have a pattern of like
you're also right. But when you look at certain dudes that make impact plays, like a TJ Watt made an impact play versus the Bengals, definitely didn't, because he didn't play. Made an impact play versus the Bills, a sack fumble to set up a touchdown.
That the Bengals win wasn't that impressive because he didn't play? I thought you said next man up.
They beat the snot out of us for sure. Made an impact.
You didn't have your key defensive players.
Made an impact play versus the Bills, which set up a touchdown. Made an impact play versus the Seahawks in overtime to set up the win. Like when dudes are out here and they're impact players like a TJ Watt, like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, sometimes you just got to give a tip of the cap. Yes, you can be ticked off, and I would be mad too if I was a Browns fan. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But at some point, people do need to give a tip of the cap to the other team for making plays.
Well, here's an example. Bengals fans are not beating up on you too. Like, sometimes plays are made. And you talked about Joe Burrow's interception this past weekend with the game on the line, with them having the lead. And you said, well, it was a batted pass and blah, blah, blah. And you're right. If that was an isolated incident, maybe not necessarily Joe Burrow's fault it happens. But when there's a pattern starting to develop of Joe Burrow's interceptions late in games with the game on the line, isolated incident, oh, it was batted. That's what happened. Loose ball, it's a 50-50 ball. But then you think back to the Packers game. He throws that interception there in overtime with the game on the line. That's what I mean by sometimes everything's not isolated. Sometimes it becomes a pattern. And that's what I brought that up about Burrow. And it's what I'm bringing up about the Browns. Now, to be fair, Jarvis Landry making mistakes, that dude don't make mistakes.
Exactly.
So the fact that guy made a mistake and it took Watt to get him to make that mistake says something. But again, I don't think, I'm not really bitching about Jarvis, but it just becomes a Browns thing. It's just typical Browns, right? The typical game. I mean, they were moving the ball, and then you had the false starts.
That's the one.
Those are the ones that are just killer right there. Because that's discipline.
For me, as I'm watching the game, it's the false start from Higgins, and then the roughhousing from Minkah
Higgins
Fitzpatrick.
false started, because of Baker Mayfield not being able to get OBJ the ball, which is why Higgins liked the tweet about that's how I'm connecting the dots there, I guess.
That false start set him back, and then the good play or drop or whatever you want to call it from Jarvis, were the death nails. And it was definitely that false start that took it from I believe it was 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10 it was 3rd and 10 to make it 3rd and 15. They picked up some yards to make that like 4th and 12. Like that makes a world of a difference. If it's, 4th and 5, like that's manageable. A ton of things you can do on the 4th and 5. You can run a square in from a running back out the backfield. You can check it down to the tight end, but like 4th and 13, it's not going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen.
Theo Mims makes an interesting point. He says the Browns don't run enough. They abandon the run too quickly. And I just mentioned, I was actually taken back by the fact that Nick Chubb is 3rd in the NFL in total yards rushing, despite the fact that he missed 2 games and only had 60 yards against the Steelers this past Sunday. I mean, my goodness, can you imagine? He'd be leading the league in rushing. I think it would ultimately go to Derrick Henry. Unfortunately, how horrible is that, by the way? And I said
he was about to get another 2 stacks.
I mean, the guy's unreal. He's an animal out there, man. Like he just doesn't even when he just looks different than everyone out there on the field. And it doesn't matter what position he'd be playing, he'd have that intimidating look to him. But no, Theo, here's the problem too: game management. Last year, the reason the Browns were able to dominate on the ground as much as they did is because they would get leads early and they would control the clock with the run game. And then how many times you see Kareem Hunt take care of a lot of the heavy lifting in the first couple quarters, and Nick Chubb would get a lot of the power run game, and then every 4th quarter, like clockwork, Nick Chubb would have one of them big 40, 50-plus yard gains. I mean, I can't tell you how many times last year that happened. I would like to. I'm just telling you I can't. But I know it happened a lot because I watched the game. No, but how many times you watch a game last year where the highlight is Nick Chubb? There was one point where Nick Chubb had to stop at the 1-yard line just so they could stop, so they could run the clock out, because he always had those big bursts because they wear your defense down over time. But the problem is, to Theo's point, okay, they go away from the run. Well, last year they had the lead a lot of times. Think about against the Chargers. They had the lead. They tried running, but the defense, of course, was just getting absolutely obliterated against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Then they trail. Now you have to go away from running the ball in the second half to passing the ball. Boom, you're in trouble there. Think about the Cardinals. They couldn't establish the run game against the Cardinals because they were down 14-21 or 17-0 in the first quarter in the blink of an eye. They couldn't, it's kind of hard to establish the run game when you trail so early. So Theo, I'm with you. The fact that Nick Chubb is 3rd in the league in rushing is impressive because so many things have worked against him and the total, offense in general. But they're not able to stick to the run because they're trailing so often. If they jump on the Bengals early this Sunday, look for them to, rely on the run. But the Bengals, they went after, they loaded up that defensive line. That defense has improved. Remember Nick Chubb last year? He ate against the Bengals. He had his way with the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I even know this ain't that same Cincinnati Bengals defense from last year, but they still have to stop Nick Chubb. That defense isn't as good as the Steelers defense. The Steelers did a pretty good job of containing, but second the Steelers took that lead late, they couldn't go to Nick Chubb to wear your defense down anymore. Now you had to rely on the dysfunctional passing game of the Browns to try and beat you, and they ultimately beat themselves at the same time as, Pittsburgh making good plays. But yeah, I think that's what it is. Just the lead, Nick Chubb will take care of the rest.
I mean, if you watch the game, the Steelers' MO was like, all right, we're going to make them beat us passing the ball because we know they can beat us running the ball with the offensive line and Nick Chubb. So we're going to put 8-9 men in the box. So Coach Stefanski, okay, we got one-on-one with our receivers. We have to throw the ball. We have to be able to make one-on-one plays. And the Browns weren't able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just simple math. Like, oh, man, we got one-on-one with whomever the wide receiver is. If you got one-on-one as a wide receiver, you got to have that confidence to be able to make that play. And as a wide receiver, you know where you're going. The DB has to react to you. So you always have the advantage. And that's why I posed the question last week, can the Browns have a drop back passing game? Because everything that they do is predicated off the play action. Everything is a play action rollout, play action to the right rollout, play action to the left rollout. Let's hit a quick screen and everything like that. Do the Browns have a drop back passing game? Now that you know who is no longer in the equation, will that drop back passing game come back to life?
One more, and I'm not trying to get back into the OBJ stuff, but one of the other things, too, that was brought up last night, Mary Kay Cabot had an interesting piece on this, that a lot of the reasons, like there's some narratives out there that, look, Stefanski didn't trust Baker. That's why they ran on that 3rd and 10 a few weeks ago and that loss against the Chargers instead of dropping him back to pass. A lot of it was not the distrust for Baker in the offense. It was the distrust of Baker was trying to make a play with OBJ, going off to business on his own. So when OBJ hijacks the play, and the play breaks down, Now you have, your offensive line was beat up against the Chargers that day. So they said there was just no trust that because I guess there was some tension with OBJ that day in that game. He already had some drops. He was chirping on the sideline. So that report that came out last night, I found interesting because that kind of made sense that it wasn't because they didn't trust Baker, which, by the way, Baker can blow a game up at any time. He did it against the Chiefs. Okay. We've seen it. I'm not saying he is Joe Montana. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's any of these clutch guys that could just march the ball down the field. He has to do that. He has to do a better job. I'm not making excuses, but on that particular time, there was trust issues with the offense, but it's sounding like it wasn't trust issues for Baker Mayfield to make a play, but he couldn't even call a dang play in a clutch game situation because the play could never develop because he would hijack the play and go out for his own.
Go rogue,
if you will. So just like I did here, we're supposed to do Kev Nash brings us over under. I pulled an OBJ. I said, hell no, I'm wide open over here. I'm going to do my own thing. So there you go. But I promise Kev Nash is going to bring us Browns Bengals over under when we come back. Again, the first matchup of 2 this year. I really did not think we were going to get to this point and have a healthy Joe Burrow and a healthy Baker Mayfield. And Joe Burrow's way more healthier than Baker Mayfield at this point. And we'll see what's in store this come Sunday. But if anything, if this matchup on Sunday lives up to the last 2 times these 2 quarterbacks went head-to-head, we're in for a treat. The rivalry is real. There's more of hatred and a rivalry between the Browns and Bengals than Ohio State, Michigan. This is the real rivalry in the state of Ohio. We'll be back hour 2. Kev Nash brings us over under when we come back.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers! Frickers' everyday values begin on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner. And on Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Kids eat free every day. And your favorite events are on TVs everywhere. The home for everyday values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers!
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Santa here. I used to shop online, but they don't have anything in stock. Now I go to the Hobby Shop, where I save money by getting fun and exciting gifts in stock from a locally owned small business that beats Amazon. The Hobby Shop near the Dayton Mall has the latest RC planes by E-Flight and the hottest radio-controlled trucks from Axial. Want to go fast? The Hobby Shop has Arma RC cars in stock that go over 80 miles per hour. Keep your dollars local. Their shelves are stocked at the Hobby Shop, just north of the Dayton Mall, across the street from Lowe's. Call 436-6161.
November is an ideal month to plant trees in Ohio because the soil is still warm, which reduces the transplant stress. Plus, trees require less water in November than in the heat of the summer, allowing roots to grow in the cooler temperatures. When planting trees, keep these tips in mind. Select trees that are zone hardy for where you plan to plant. Avoid planting trees that produce slip hazards like fruits and nuts close to sidewalks. And don't plant large trees near or under utility lines. To learn more about the November tree planting, contact an ISA certified arborist near you by going to trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect fever is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You Want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
This Sunday morning, hang out with Kev Nash and Keith Byers live at Frickers in Miamisburg on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Of course, the Sunday morning tailgate show every Sunday. The show begins at 11:30. The show ends at 1. Keith always enjoys his chicken noodle soup, and he hangs around. We always watch the first half of the games and all that stuff. So a chance to meet the College Football Hall of Famer every Sunday at Frickers in Miamisburg on 741 by the Dayton Mall. There you go. It is funny seeing some of the things that people bring in for him to sign and everything like that. This one guy came in this past weekend, and he said he was filling up gas. He heard that we were going to be at that Frickers just down the road, and he went in to get cigarettes. And he said there was this Ohio State, it was a Speedway Ohio State sign that was in the back. So he just said, hey, you guys gonna get rid of that or whatever? And they said, yeah, we're gonna throw it out at the end of the promotion. And he said he was going to meet Keith Byers and really wanted him to sign something. He didn't have anything, so they took it down and gave it to him. So Keith Byers signed this Ohio State little Speedway poster. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, these guys just, hey, can I have that? I need him to sign something for me. Like, it was funny as could be.
I thought you were gonna say he signed his cigarettes. His pack
hey,
of
Keith,
Marlboros.
I'm a big fan. Can you sign these cigarettes over here? What?
You're foul. So you're going to the game on Sunday, right?
Yes, sir.
What time are you getting down there? Are you tailgating?
I don't know. Am I allowed to go and tailgate?
Yes.
I talk a lot of smack. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll get like a neutral orange shirt.
There's different shades. There's Bengals orange, and there's
I'm all about the
Browns
shade.
orange.
Cap.
No cap.
Damn it. I'm going to get it one of these times.
No cap.
So
no cap for you.
But no. By the way, I don't think I'm gonna go down and tailgate. I'm gonna go. It's a big game. I gotta concentrate. Gotta enjoy my hair being black. All right. It's gonna be purple on Monday if I'm not careful. If the Browns don't take care of business, my hair will be purple. Oofa.
Will you be wearing any Browns gear?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's cold out. Layer up. So casual orange shirt, and then look, it's warm, and then got my brown shirt on. Browns start losing. Put my shirt back on. I got it all under control. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about me. Don't you worry about me. 518-1410. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So the Browns and the Bengals coming up this weekend. And I tell you, I cannot wait for the matchup of Joe Burrow against Baker Mayfield. Take a look at this for those of you watching live on YouTube and watching live on Facebook. Found this interesting. Look, I forgot too that Joe Burrow was healthy for both. They did play early on in the season. It was one of the final games that Joe Burrow was able to play in before he ultimately went down for the season. But if you guys remember how amazing that second game was, it was a shootout. That was everything I wanted out of the Browns and the Bengals rivalry. When they got Joe Burrow and the Browns have Baker Mayfield, those shootouts. Like the shootout, the heavyweight fight back and forth. But Baker Mayfield leads the series against Joe Burrow 2-0. Joe Burrow has never beat Baker Mayfield. How about that? I mean, there's God, Joe Burrow, and yet somehow they've never beat Baker Mayfield. Come on. How can you be a good quarterback that loses to the Jets and you've never beaten Baker Mayfield? Come on. But, I mean, you look at the success that both have had right there. Joe Burrow, though, in the two games combined, Kev, has thrown for 722 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's thrown the ball 108 times in both matchups.
That's great.
Combined.
I definitely remember that first one because, the Bengals had like that comeback kind of in the fourth quarter.
They lost 35-30 or whatever, but they did, come back. And
that was the one. That was the one where he passed a ton. I mean, yeah, he passes a ton of yards all the time, but I mean, like, I think that was the one where he had almost like 40 pass attempts, like 45 pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so like in that game too, and again, just when you look at how all that was broken down, but like it was just unbelievable. I forgot how much he threw the dang ball, but 108 pass attempts between both games for Joe Burrow against the Browns. With Joe Mixon being back and with that offensive line being a little beefed up, I would have to think that, I think you're going to see more Joe Mixon incorporated in the offense. By the way, I know Joe Burrow's capable of dropping 61
passes.
And that wasn't necessarily the shootout. The shootout came in the second game.
Right.
So I was kind of shocked to see that he threw the ball 60-plus times or whatever in that first game. But Joe Burrow has thrown for 722 yards in both losses against Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Baker Mayfield has thrown for 516 yards. Oh, Joe Burrow, he's thrown for more yards. Yeah, but look, he threw for not even 200 more yards than Baker Mayfield, and you had to throw the ball 57 more times. So Joe Burrow needs to throw the ball 57 more times to have 200 more passing yards than Baker. I would hope that you have at least 200 more passing yards when you throw the ball that many times. My goodness. I mean, holy smokes. Baker Mayfield has a better completion percentage in their head-to-heads. He has more touchdowns in their head-to-heads, and he's thrown half the amount of pass attempts. I'd say that's pretty efficient if you ask me. But the Browns won 35-30 in game number 1, 37-34 in that shootout. Again, Baker led the team right down the field and beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But, yeah, I mean, that's the big question for Joe Burrow. Can he beat Baker Mayfield? So 0-2. I'm just saying, I'm not making that up. I mean, come on. So I'm just saying. Oh, but Justin, the Browns beat the Bengals. Baker Mayfield did not beat Joe Burrow. Aye. But when the Bengals beat the Ravens 2 weeks ago, Joe Burrow beat down Lamar Jackson. Beat Lamar Jackson down. Lamar Jackson didn't even know what hit him. That's how good Joe Burrow was. But when the Browns beat the Bengals, it's the Browns beat the Bengals, not Baker Mayfield beating Joe Burrow, even though, Baker Mayfield led the team right down the field in that second game. And what all I'm saying is good luck to you, Joe Burrow. You can't beat Baker Mayfield. I get it. It's tough. You have a chance on Sunday. Will this be the week that Joe Burrow, who's accomplished a lot this year in year number 2, will this be the year that he finally slays the beast? Will he beat Baker Mayfield? Go Bengals.
What's your score prediction?
Oh, we have a whole hour and 45 minutes to still work with that here. So I'm just saying.
I want you to put it on wax.
Doug Toby says, plus he's not a rookie anymore. Oh, I love how you guys use the rookie tab. When he's great, you guys said last year, Bengals fans were telling me Joe Burrow's a top 10 quarterback. Baker Mayfield can't be a top 10 quarterback because Joe Burrow's a top 10 quarterback and he's better than Baker Mayfield. But then when he plays poorly, like when he throws interceptions in overtime, costing his team a game against the Packers, and then don't forget about the debacle last week against the Jets. Now all of a sudden we like to bring out the rookie card. It's like old people. You guys don't like to be called old until you get to bring out your ARP card and then use it for your advantage. You guys, that's who Bengals fans remind me of. They're only, he's only a rookie when it's convenient to use that excuse. You're only old when you're able to, use your senior citizenship to get a discount on your coffee at Bob Evans or something. Like, I just, you guys crack me up. 518-1410. So the Browns, the Bengals this Sunday, Joe Burrow versus Baker Mayfield. I cannot wait. And like I said, I do not know what to expect as far. I mean, I don't think Joe Burrow, I think it's going to be a while before Joe Burrow gets his win over Baker Mayfield. Sure, he beat little Lamar Jackson. Speaking of ARP, he beat Ben Roethlisberger earlier in the year, so I'm just, it is what it is. It is what it is. But no. So, Kev, this Sunday, I said last week I was pissed off that the Bengals lost to the Jets because I was like, now I kind of fear a fired up Bengals team. They took their foot off the gas. They overlooked the Jets because they thought they were better than what they were. And now they got punched in the mouth by the team that got embarrassed. It looked like, I was going to say it looked like the Bearcats facing Navy, but no, because that was a blowout. So last night was not a Navy versus Cincinnati game. That was more like Ohio State against a bad team. You take care of business. So with that being said, I thought that the Bengals, they're going to be pissed off, fired up, and I still believe that they will be. they're going to be at an extra level this coming up Sunday, coming off that game against the Jets. I'm having my fun. I'm making my digs. But I do know this. The chances of them losing back-to-back are slim, especially coming off that embarrassment. It's not just that they lost. When they lost to the Packers, they still had respect after that. They got respect for taking Aaron Rodgers to overtime and almost having a chance to beat him. But
he ain't playing this week.
But your quarterback threw an interception in overtime, by the way. But this game this past weekend was embarrassing for them, but it was like a learning curve game. Yes, to Doug Toby's point, technically, he's year 2 as a starter. He's still learning the game as he goes, and so are the Bengals as they continue to gel and move forward. But with that, they're going to be extra motivated. They're going to be playing with a lot more fire and energy this come up Sunday, and I thought that worried me because I'm like, the Browns are coming off that loss against the Steelers, and they just seem more defeated. Like the Bengals didn't seem defeated this past Sunday, Kev. I think it was disappointing. The Bengals were disappointing this past Sunday. The Browns seemed defeated, and I would rather be disappointed in our performance than defeated by our performance. And I thought that the Browns were defeated by their performance against the Steelers, and that's concerning to me. The Jets, that loss is embarrassing, as much as I like to poke fun at you guys, but I know that the Jets are not better than the Cincinnati Bengals. But you move on, but you don't want to you want to get that taste out of your mouth. You want to take care of business. So that worried me as a Browns fan. But with all this OBJ stuff, the Browns are here to prove something as well. They're healthy. They're now without the distraction of Odell Beckham Jr. Baker trying to prove that he can continue to play and pick up where he left off last year, playing at such a high level that he did without Odell Beckham Jr. So I think right now you have two teams who have so much to prove. The Browns, you said it earlier, they lose, you feel like it's over for them this season.
Yeah.
The only reason I can't buy into that narrative completely, although I slightly agree, because I feel like, man, nothing can go right for them. They have the veteran leadership and still the best run game. One of the best. Well, now with Derrick Henry, they have the best run game in football. Offensive line's still a little beat up, but they still have the top offensive line in football. Very good coach in Stefanski, who I think can kind of return to norm now without OBJ there and kind of reset his offense a bit. I think that the Browns could bounce back. What I worry about with the Bengals, if they lose this week, you have that big emotional win against the Ravens, Kev, and then you get embarrassed by the Jets. If you lose or get beat down by the Browns, now that's an emotionally young team. That's a rookie star wide receiver in Jamar Chase who might, who can kind of go in a hole a bit. Joe Burrow could start to doubt himself and make rookie mistakes, as we talked about earlier. I still think that the Bengals, it's very important for them to get the win on Sunday because I don't think they have enough veteran leadership to get them through a losing streak like this to be able to come back on the other side. They'd worked so hard to establish that momentum and that dominance that I think it's important they get back in the win column on Sunday. From an analyst standpoint, from a Kinder standpoint, screw you guys. I don't want them to win at all. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's important for both. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like Cleveland has more firepower to come back and bounce back from a loss on Sunday. I think that there's a lot of talent in Cincinnati, but you have to worry about a young team with the quarterback in his second year. You know how inconsistent young teams can be. We saw how vulnerable they were this past Sunday. Being young got them. Someone got mad at me 2 weeks ago when I said, being young can cost them. They're young and fired up and hungry. I'm like, I'm not taking a shot at them. They're young and vulnerable to not, being able to rise up to the occasion because they're young, because they're learning how to win in the National Football League. That's why I fear for the Bengals, they need a win just as much as the Browns on Sunday. We'll see what ends up happening. Because keep in mind, they only have a 1-game lead on the Browns. This isn't a 2-game lead. The Bengals don't have a cushion. That's why that loss to the Jets was such a big deal. 6-2 to start gave you a little wiggle room. But you lose to the Browns on Sunday. Now the Browns are right back there in the middle of the pack. The Browns have 2 with the Ravens coming up here in the next couple of weeks as well. So all I'm saying is I know everyone's saying that the Browns, they'll be dead and buried if they lose to the Bengals on Sunday. The Bengals have to be careful because they could, you were in first place. You would have been the number 1 seed in the playoffs had they started a week ago. And here you are right now in the middle of the pack. You lose, you're going to be right at the bottom of the AFC North and right there at the bottom of the AFC in general if you're not careful. Not bottom like a bad team, but you'll be fighting with the bottom
right
to where you had control of everything 2 weeks ago.
You look what the Colts did. They just got a win last night and everything like that. So they're jumping right back into the race and everything like that. This is going to be a tight race all the way until the end of the season. But I think these next 4 games for the Browns are crucial. At Cincinnati, at New England, home with the Lions, and then at Baltimore. I think you got to win 3 of those. To be seriously in contention for the playoffs if you're a Browns fan.
518-1410, Bengals fans, Browns fans, I want to hear from you. Who needs a win more? Who needs a win? That's generic. Who needs a win more? But which team will a loss hurt more, I guess? Basically the same thing, but in all seriousness, it's not a good situation for the Browns to lose. They would drop under 500, a team that had Super Bowl expectations come in. People don't want to hear injury excuses, but this isn't the team that we thought they would be coming in due to those circumstances. But the bottom line is it's going to be a lot tougher for them to bounce back if they lose on Sunday. But I do think that even though the Bengals have a solid record at 5-3, a loss on Sunday would give them back-to-back losses. Now you start doubting yourself a little bit. That would give Cleveland the momentum, because I'm telling you right now, last year at this time, Cleveland was 5-3. Last year at this time, people were doubting the Browns still, like even me. You were looking at me like I was crazy. I was somehow making you defend the Browns because I kept saying, Baker ain't it. He's averaging 170 passing yards. He's not moving the ball. I mean, I know they're winning, but I'm not convinced on the wins.
They was averaging like 280 on the ground.
So, and I was like, but I do know that you're not going to win in the playoffs if you don't have a quarterback that can go up against Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or whoever. But that's besides the point. My point is a year ago at this time, we weren't sold. I wasn't sold on the Browns either. Browns fans weren't sold on the Browns a year ago at this time either. But this is around the time last year where everything clicked. This was a time last year where everything just came together. So if you think that losing to the Browns on Sunday is just, oh, well, we'll get them next time, you could be triggering the Cleveland run that they went on last year where they didn't look back and they took care of business in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's a lot on the line on Sunday from that perspective.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, Kev Nash brings us over under. You got the music. Hold on.
Kev Nash brings you over under.
All right, Kev, over under. Bengals Browns edition. Let's hear it.
It's been a while, but we're back. Joe Burrow. He's the only quarterback in the NFL to throw for 2 or more touchdown passes in every game this season. So over or under 1.5 TD passes for Joey B versus the Browns on Sunday.
I will say over. Look, the bottom line is that right now this is a pass-heavy team. I give Joe Burrow a ton of credit. Yes, the kid's looked outstanding in his second year in the NFL. Does he make a lot of mistakes and turn the ball over? Absolutely. Will that improve as he gets older and time goes on? Yes, it will. But the problem is you have 2 days to figure it out. I believe he's going to throw two touchdowns. I mean, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd and everything like that, and even, Joe Mixon, if they get him involved in the pass game from that standpoint as well, he has too many weapons around him. And there's a reason he is the only quarterback in the NFL that has 2 or more passing touchdowns in every game. I'm going to say the over, although it will be right at 2. I don't think he's going to move the ball up and down the field as easily as he did against the Browns last year, because as improved as the defense is for the Bengals, the Browns defense is getting healthier, and I think that they're in better position too this year. I think it's going to be a lot tighter game and a low scoring game than what we saw from years past. So I'm going to say the over.
I'm going to go with the over as well. A lot of that is on John Johnson III. If he can stop biting on that crosser and stop leaving people butt naked wide open, he'll go under. But since he's only been able to do that once, and that was in that game versus Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos, I'm still going to go with the over, because that's what the Bengals do. They pass the ball and he throws a lot of touchdowns. So I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to go with 3 for Joey B in this Sunday matchup.
Kev Nash brings you over under. If you're just tuning in, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. By the way, with OBJ officially parting ways with the Browns, Kev, that had no impact on the line. Cincinnati still, they started the week out as a 2.5-point favorite at home with Cleveland in town. They remain a 2.5-point favorite. Paul Brown Stadium, 5-3 Bengals, 4-4 Browns. Sunday, 1 o'clock to kick off on CBS. Number 2 on Kev Nash's Browns Bengals over under.
Baker Mayfield is averaging 242 passing yards per game this season, but has only thrown 8 touchdowns in 8 games. Over or under 1.5 TD passes from Baker.
I'm going to say way over. I'm going to say he has more passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow in this game. Look, this isn't, you can laugh at me all you want. This is a non-homer take. You'll hear it as a homer take. I don't think you guys understand how much not just Baker Mayfield's trying to prove on Sunday, but the whole offense. They know that they're a run-dominant team, but at the same time, they know that they have, for team chemistry purposes, and Stefanski knows this too, you can't move on from OBJ the way the Browns did and then start out the game, handoff, dink pass to Chubb, handoff. I think it's about right now getting the only chance that the Browns have. I get tired of hearing this. The only way the Browns are going to make the playoffs is because of the run game. Yes, just like every team out there. The Bengals' chances increase dramatically if their run game is better, which, by the way, Joe Mixon, top 5 in rushing as well, so kudos to him. Now, with that being said, I think it's very important that Kevin Stefanski gets Baker Mayfield involved in the offense early. I think there's going to be an emphasis on the pass game as long as, I got to give respect to the Bengals' pass defense. But, they did let the Jets move the ball up and down the field. If they play like they did against the Jets, definitely Baker's going to get the over. But I do think that the Browns are going to come out motivated. The offense is going to gel. No OBJ, no problem. I think we return to the 2020 Browns and they pick up where they left off. I think you're going to see the Browns move the ball up and down the field, and I think you're going to see Baker cap off some scoring drives in the end zone. You said over under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Baker Mayfield versus the Bengals. I'm going to say over, and I'm going to name 3.
I'm going to go with the over as well. I'm going to say 2. 1, 2.
How many did you say for Burrow?
I said 3.
3?
Yeah. I just think that Baker, he's going to get to the rollout game a little bit more. They don't set the edge the same way the Pittsburgh Steelers do, mainly because they have a different style of defense. Obviously, Steelers run a 3-4, the Bengals run a 4-3, yada, 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 way too much behind football, but it's a different style of defense, so it allows him to get out on the edge again. So I expect a lot of more rollouts from Baker, and that's normally where he gets his touchdown passes, on the rollouts to the tight ends and everything like that. So I got the over. I got him getting 2.
So 2 touchdowns right there. And again, our Kev Nash brings us over under. It's the Browns-Bengals edition again as they go head-to-head here in Week 9, second half of the season officially, gets underway, or officially got underway last night. Technically, yeah, it's the halfway point. That damn 17th game. See, I'm OCD. Like 17 games, make it 18.
You want nice and even?
I hate odd amounts. Like I hate that we'll never have a 500 team. It'll either be your game below 500 or game over 500. There'll never be, a 500 team. I don't know why that drives me nuts, I guess, but it is what it is.
No more 8-8.
But head to Facebook, head to YouTube, and jump in the chat section on our over-unders. The first 2 over-unders were over-under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Joe Burrow versus the Browns on Sunday, and the same thing for Baker Mayfield, over-under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Baker Mayfield against the Bengals. I said over for Joe Burrow, and I said over for Baker Mayfield, mainly for Baker Mayfield, because I think Kevin Stefanski knows the best chance they have of riding this ship is to get Baker Mayfield's confidence back, and the best way to do that is to let him complete a few passes, let him move the ball up and down the field, and I think that the Browns and the Baker Mayfield will be solid. So I'm going to say over for Baker Mayfield as well. And number 3.
Oh, yeah. All right. Despite missing multiple games and only having 61 yards rushing, and the Browns lost to the Steelers last Sunday, Nick Chubb is 3rd in total yards in the NFL, averaging 97 yards rushing yards per game. So over or under 99.5 rushing yards for Nick Chubb versus the Bengals on Sunday.
I'm going to say under, but not by much. The Bengals are a top 7 team. They're 7th in the NFL against the run. They have a solid core up front. But this is honestly going off of my last point on the over-under with the touchdowns in the pass game for Baker Mayfield. There's going to be an emphasis, not ignoring the run, but I think with the emphasis going on Baker Mayfield in the pass game to get his confidence back. And believe me, I'm not saying that that's the only focus. If the run game's going to win them games, they'll go there. But the Bengals are improved defensively. The one thing that they were focused on in bulking up this defense in the offseason was because teams ran all over them last year, including the Cleveland Browns. I know you Bengals fans don't want to give the Browns too much credit to actually acknowledge that the front office considered that when building that defensive line, in the defensive core to stop the run game. Yes, every opponent you want to stop the run, but it was built to stop Lamar Jackson's run game and to stop the Browns' run game. Coincidentally enough, the 2 best run games in the National Football League, with Titans are outside of this, of course, but the Browns and the Ravens, 2 distinctly different kind of running teams, but they both reside in the AFC North. That was built to stop the run. So I think Chubb will face some resistance. I think, I still think he finishes with under 99 yards. The Bengals give up about 94 a game. I think he'll be in that 85 to 90 range, but I think he gets a touchdown on the ground too. I think it's going to be a good balanced offense. It's going to be good contributions from the run game, good contributions from the pass game, but I'm going to say under 99 yards for Nick Chubb on Sunday versus the Bengals, but not by much. He'll be in that 85 to 90 range, in my opinion.
Over 120 on the ground for Nick Chubb. And everybody want to talk about the Browns running the ball more. You're going to see the ball in Nick Chubb's hands a ton. I'm going to say he gets at least 25 carries this game too. I think they're going to feed Nick Chubb. I think they're going to feed him a lot. I think they're going to get Dearness Johnson into that role that Hunt normally plays for them, but they know their bread is buttered with that offensive line and Nick Chubb. I'm going Nick Chubb over and a lot of carries as well.
And you talk about the carries again. You look at the top 5 rushers in the NFL. In fact, you're going to get to see 2 of the top 5 rushers go head-to-head. Nick Chubb against Joe Mixon. Nick Chubb's 3rd in the league in total yards rushing, as we talked about. Joe Mixon's 4th. In fact, Nick Chubb only has 12 more yards rushing than Joe Mixon. Now, I had a Bengals fan chirp at me about that earlier today, but keep in mind, Joe Mixon has 12 less yards rushing than Nick Chubb. But you got to look at the fact that Joe Mixon has carried the ball 31 more times than Nick Chubb, and you still have 12 less rushing yards than him. So Nick Chubb has missed 2 games and only had 60 yards against the Steelers this past weekend. But the total carries, 106 total carries for Nick Chubb in the 6 games that he's played. It has been a heavy dose to the run game for Nick Chubb and the Browns, and you're right. I think it's going to be balanced, but I still think he finishes just under 100 yards on Sunday.
Fair enough. Is it Jamar or Jamar?
Jamar.
You sure? Because I've heard it pronounced both ways. Maybe you can ask him on Sunday.
I have never heard it Jamar.
I've heard it Jamar at his LSU days. But then when he got to the NFL, people started saying Jamar. Either way, Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Has the least amount of receptions than any other wide receiver in the top 10 in the NFL, but still has 786 total yards plus 7 touchdowns. Chase is averaging 98 yards per game in 8 games, over under 99 yards receiving for him in this upcoming matchup versus the Brownies.
Over. The Browns secondary drives me nuts. I guess statistically they're ranked as the 4th best defense in the NFL, and
that's cap.
I'm gonna raise my hand. That's cap.
There you go.
Say cap. I say that's crap. There's no way in hell that they are the 4th. But I think we just said the same thing. I don't know why you just don't put the R in there, but it is what it is. Crap, cap, whatever you want to call it. The Browns do not have the 4th ranked defense in the National Football League, but technically they do. But Browns fans, where are you at? Do you agree with me? I watch this team every week. I don't feel like I'm watching the 4th ranked defense in the National Football League. And if that is the 4th ranked defense in the National Football League, how bad is the damn defenses in the National Football League then? Because, and I think a lot of it comes down to, it really comes down to the secondary. The Browns get beat. So much blame and, hate gets thrown towards Baker Mayfield, but the Browns in the offense, they've lost 2 games this year, scoring 30 or more points. Mm-hmm. And when you have all that money in that secondary and all that money up front in the defensive line, and you got a great pickup linebacker to Notre Dame for the defense in the draft this past year, the fact that your offense puts up 30 points twice this year against the Chiefs and the Chargers, Baker Mayfield throws for 300 yards, against the Chargers, and no interceptions, and you can't get a win on those. Like, the defense has been costing the Browns games this year, Kev. The defense put them in position to beat the Steelers. The offense cost them the game this past Sunday. But outside of that, if you look at all the losses for the Browns, it's been the defense that has cost them games. It cost them against, of course, the Cardinals. Of course, they were beat up defensively. Half the damn roster was out. But the defense cost them against the Chargers. It cost them against the Chiefs. And I think right now that's going to be the big thing. Jamar Chase, I'm going to take the over. Jamar Chase will have more than 100 yards receiving against the Browns defense, because I've seen less talented wide receivers dice them up, and Jamar Chase is the real freaking deal. I have to hear about it every week, and I'm done telling you you're wrong. The kid is the real deal, and I think he's going to show out with Joe Burrow against the Browns on Sunday in a shootout. The Browns are still going to win this. Don't worry. But no, I'm going to say the over. I think that the kid's just too special, and if Joe Burrow, they go as he goes. That's the thing about Baker Mayfield. They've got him OBJ. They wanted to get him a number 1 to see if he, so he can have success. Baker Mayfield, he don't need a number 1 wide receiver to have success. He throws it to Hooper. He throws it to Higgins. He throws it to Jarvis. Oh, you want the ball? You don't throw. Hey, Kenner, you open here. Here's the ball. He shares it with everybody. Okay, Baker has success with everybody, but Joe Burrow, He needs Jamar Chase. He's nothing without Jamar Chase. He had his leg just dangling last year, just like this, just dangling. All right, and then you know what he said? Hey, I want Jamar Chase. He didn't even say, "Hey, get me an offensive line." He would rather have Jamar Chase than walk. That's how much he needs Jamar Chase. All right, so I mean, he's so dependent on Jamar Chase. You say, oh, well, Baker Mayfield, he can't win without Nick Chubb. Well, Joe Burrow can't win without Jamar Chase. He is so dependent on Jamar Chase because apparently T. Higgins and Boyd are ass because you guys said that they weren't good enough to head into this season with that they needed Jamar Chase. And you're right, because look at how much better the offense looks this year because of Jamar Chase, not because of Joe Burrow, because of Jamar Chase. I'm giving y'all a taste of your own medicine because every time I say Baker's good, Baker and the Browns went to the playoffs. Oh, no, Baker, he didn't go to the playoffs. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the run game went to the playoffs. Well, Jamar Chase, he's the only reason you're good because you told me last year that they were so bad in the pass game that they had to get him a target, and they got him one. And you're right. The Bengals depend on Jamar Chase, and they're going to have to depend on him on Sunday because that's the only shot they have of beating the Browns. And the sad thing is, I'm saying it in a mocking tone, but you all know I'm freaking right. So there's that. I'm sure that irritates you guys even more.
Over. I'm going to go with the over as well.
Why?
We got to go to break.
All right. You heard the man. We'll be back.
Who they think gonna beat them Bengals?
The Browns, that's who.
Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Bark and tackle, watch them fall. We are here to have them all. Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? River Run is where we play. Bengals fans are here to stay. Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Nobody.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 52. Tonight will be clear and cold, a low near 26. And tomorrow will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 56. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris, Ohio has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates. KTH promotes from within, offers medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at just over $19 per hour with annual increases. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID. Visit kth.net for more information. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Update your home with new flooring from Shaw. Add comfort with soft and luxurious carpet. Transform the look of any living space with durable laminate flooring. Vinyl plank flooring is waterproof and clicks together for an easy installation. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through November 6th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
What's all the buzz about nasal irrigation and Navage? And should I try it? Here's the science. Airborne germs invade through your nose. It's the body's air filter for trapping allergens and viruses. When your nose gets clogged, it's less effective and germs multiply. Eventually, your immune system can get overwhelmed and you get sick. Nasal irrigation is an effective, all-natural way to clean your nose. It's not a drug. It's more like plumbing. Saline goes in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out mucus and germs. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage to make cleaning your nose easy. It's the world's only nose cleaner with powered suction. Navage pulls out the bad stuff so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier. At Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, Bed Bath, and Walmart. Or go to Navage.com for a free gift with purchase. Over 2 million sold. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 long hours. Grab Mucinex DM, available at Walgreens.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Yeah, you can always make numbers sing and dance, and that's what's crazy to me, Kev. How many yards a game through the air do you think the Browns defense gives up?
I would imagine like 320. Well, hold on.
Now, they've played Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. They played Justin Herbert and the Chargers. They played Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Probably
They've
like...
been through for how much? Like, not 300, but very close. It was like 270.
Was it?
He moved the ball. He didn't... I don't think he had a bad game. I thought he moved the ball decent. I mean, obviously, they weren't capping off any kind of scoring drives or anything like that, but I'm just saying. So, with that, the Cleveland Browns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. They are 7th in the NFL against the pass. I don't get how. And I think it's because they give up, and this is what I was talking about earlier, Kev. Like you talk about, the isolated situation, like the Browns lose because they give up the big play. They force a lot of 3-and-outs. They get to the quarterback. They don't force turnovers. That's the other frustrating part about the Browns defense, because when you look at all the defensive pieces they added. But Kev, they give up 220 passing yards a game. That's it. That's actually pretty damn impressive when you consider the fact that they've played Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really good. They actually played Kirk Cousins as well. We know Kirk Cousins can move the ball up and down the field.
Stat monster.
So, I mean, those 4 quarterbacks right there, those are 4 dominant, heavy, offensive or passing dominant offenses right there. Cardinals a little bit more balanced, but Kyler Murray had his way. I'm surprised by that, Kev. I can't believe that. 220 yards a game. Joe Burrow doesn't stand a chance.
My bad. I'm doing something for who.
So, but the Cleveland Browns, again, give up 220 yards a game. And then as through the air, the Bengals, I never would have guessed this. Bengals fans, and I'm not taking a shot here, I think you guys would even be surprised by this. The Bengals give up 267 yards a game through the air. I never would have guessed that. I thought that they managed Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, I think a lot of that has to be fair, I think that the Bengals passing defense took a hit last week. I know the Jets aren't better than you guys, but you guys did make that damn quarterback look like an MVP last Sunday.
He got hurt last night, too.
Yeah, he did. And they still put up a decent amount of points, the Jets did. It's kind of funny. You had to go away from that rookie quarterback. You got some backups in there, and they moved the ball up and down the field. Kind of crazy. But
Josh Johnson, man. He stays in the NFL. I mean, he played for the Bengals at one point as well. Keep getting them checks, man.
So, the fact that the Bengals give up more passing yards through the air than the Browns is pretty impressive. And that's why I'm saying I expect big things out of the Browns on Sunday, because I do believe, look, Baker's not as bad a passer as you guys make him out to be, and I think he's going to show that on Sunday. I really do. This ain't me hating. I'm putting the hater mic away. I'm not saying it in my sarcastic tone or nothing like that. But I think Baker Mayfield, it's up to him right now. He has to succeed, because there's going to be a lot of people. If OBJ goes on, let's say, to the Rams or wherever, the Patriots, and he returns to, 90 plus receiving yards a game and multiple touchdowns and all this stuff, every game and all that, and Baker and the offense still look flat, now Cleveland has a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now Cleveland has a problem. What has saved Baker and what has saved the Browns over the last 2.5 years with OBJ is the fact that when OBJ has been out, That has not been the case. Baker's passing numbers through the roof. The offensive, production through the roof. The Browns' overall team success from a result standpoint through the roof. Playoff team, playoff win. Within defense not getting off the field for 8 minutes, they get off the field. The Browns are in the AFC title game, and God knows what would have happened at that point. So all I'm saying is we have evidence of Baker and the Browns playing at a high level offensively because OBJ was out. But there's a difference between being out injured, his presence is still there, but him being gone completely, sometimes his absence completely, Kev, that it's just that constant lingering of the struggles that they had with him there. And I think that's what's going to be interesting moving forward, how the Browns combat that. That's why I think Kevin Stefanski is going to do a good job of getting Baker involved early, get his confidence going. You see that in basketball all the time. You want to get a shooter, loose. You want to give him some confidence, give him some easy shots, drop some plays at the bucket, just get him to the free throw line, just get him something.
Layups.
Get him an opportunity to see that ball go in the net, and then go from there. And I think that's what's going to happen with Baker on Sunday. They're going to call some plays for him early. Of course, balance it out. They're not going to ignore Nick Chubb. You're not going to ignore Nick Chubb at the expense of the success of the team. But I'm just saying the priority is going to be Baker Mayfield. Because, sure, you can have Nick Chubb and you can run the hell out of the ball. But if Baker's not mentally in it and his confidence is shot, the Browns have no shot at making the playoffs. I don't care how good Nick Chubb is. They're not making the playoffs if Baker Mayfield's not in it. It's important that they get him going in the pass game this coming up Sunday. I cannot wait. 518-1410. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube. Give us a follow there. I am curious people's thoughts on the news that came out today about the Cincinnati Reds. Because this caught me by surprise. I got on Twitter literally right before the show started. And just the other day, someone had asked me about Nick Castellanos. How much of a priority would Nick Castellanos be for the Reds? Now, obviously, Nick Castellanos has opted out of his contract with the Reds to pursue the big dollars in free agency. The landing spot for Nick Castellanos, the rumor, the Chicago Cubs, the Milwaukee Brewers, which would be painful within the division, right? Like there's a good possibility that can happen. Who knows? The Yankees could throw someone. Who knows who, the big hitters, the major players. We know who those teams are. But the Cubs have been rumored. The Cubs unleashed a ton of payroll at the trade deadline last year to position themselves for not really a rebuild, but to reload, which was smart on their end. That has to be fun, Cubs fans, to know that when your team unloads a bunch of pieces, it's not necessarily to start a full-on rebuild. It's, well, we're just opening up some cap space so we can go really fill some of these gaps and continue competing moving forward. I don't think the Cubs will be a World Series team next year, but I talked about Nick Castellanos the other day. I said that the Reds need to make sure that he is a priority. Even though he opted out, that doesn't mean anything. Nick Castellanos was going to opt out no matter what. Nick Castellanos, if he had signed that deal with the Reds if he had signed that deal with the Cubs 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and Nick Castellanos had the season he just had with the Cubs, he would have opted out as well to put the Cubs in position to either repay him or to renegotiate his contract or to go get the money elsewhere. Nick Castellanos has done nothing wrong. He has opted out because he has leverage. He has leverage because he played at an MVP level this past year for the Reds and was really one of the only few interesting things about the Reds down the stretch. So with that being said, Castellanos is smart to opt out to give the Reds a shot to give him money. My thing is this, sometimes hitters, it's all about rhythm. It's all about confidence, and he's confident playing at Great American Ballpark. He's confident playing with the Cincinnati Reds. Sometimes you don't want to risk messing with the surroundings that put you in position to be successful. But the one thing that will make you comfortable moving surroundings is money. I can get real comfortable real quick if I make 3 times what I'm making, in Cincinnati right now if I'm Nick Castellanos. So the Reds have a shot. I'm not going to jump on the Reds case yet about Nick Castellanos, although it would be pretty painful. We watched this same thing unfold last year with Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer opted out, very similar situation, opted out. The Reds had a chance to re-sign him. They chose not to. Didn't even try to pursue it. Nick Castellanos, will they pursue it? Well, based on moves recently, I'm having a hard time believing that the Reds are putting all their chips into the middle to go make a run after him. So the Reds moved on from Tucker Barnhart a few days ago. Kind of bothered me. Tucker Barnhart, a fan favorite, Gold Glove catcher. great leader on that roster, but I do know that, he was kind of that good gap, that good bridge guy between him and Tyler Stevenson. Stevenson's going to be the catcher moving forward. I'm all for that. Give Stevenson, let's see what he could do. He's taken his lumps. He's made his way through the minors. He, was a platoon last year with Tucker Barnhart. Now what does he do? Now he's going to get every day at bats. He's going to be behind the plates as the, premier catcher moving forward. They move on from Tucker Barnhart. They trade him to the Tigers. That's painful watching him go. Then you watch Castellanos opt out. Although there's a chance they could bring him back, I don't think there's any reason to trust the Reds front office, especially after the move that was made today. I said the other day, there was an individual that reached out to me on Twitter that said, Kinner, how much of a priority should the Reds make Nick Castellanos? I said, of course they should make him a priority, but there's one individual that I think needs to be made an even bigger priority, and that was Wade Miley. Wade Miley threw the no-hitter for the Reds this past year. Of course, that was one fun story, not just because of the no-hitter is why I wanted him back, but I wanted him back because he's a very, very good lefty. He was very good when he left Milwaukee. Reds fans wanted to, bury him whenever he was not very good in the 60-game shortened COVID season in 2020 when he was injured. He didn't live up to the billing coming in, but he's hurt because imagine that. When you're hurt, you don't play up to the back of your baseball card, and that's kind of the same in all sports, by the way. Like when the Browns are hurt, they're not going to play the same. It's common sense, folks. I'm sorry you can't keep up with me. I'm smarter than you. It's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. With that being said, Wade Miley, it's amazing what happens. He gets healthy. One of the best lefties in all of baseball, not just on the Reds roster, but all of baseball. So Nick Castellanos, I wanted the Reds to make him a priority, but I said in that tweet that Wade Miley needs to be just as much, if not more, a priority because pitching, and more pitching is what's going to win you more ball games because even an average Reds offense is still going to put enough runs up on the board. It's going to be whether or not they can keep the other team from putting runs up on the board, and that's been the problem for the Reds for as long as I can remember, especially since the rebuild started back in 2014. Well, sure enough, I had no clue that the Reds had even released Wade Miley. I had no clue that they even had made him available through waivers. I checked Twitter today, and I was having a good day. There's some things in life that I'm going through right now that are pretty good. I'm bragging. I don't care. I'm engaged. I have a beautiful fiance. There's some things happening in life. Things are going really well for me right now until today. Until today. Wade Miley was claimed off waivers, Kev.
Oh, lovely waivers. A lot of waiver talk today.
We're waving goodbye to Wade Miley as he was picked up off waivers and claimed by the Chicago Cubs. It's one thing to lose a key talented piece to your roster, but to do it in the division, good for the Cubs. If the Cubs end up with Nick Castellanos and Wade Miley, that's painful. And I'm so sick and tired of the Reds hiding behind we don't have any money. That is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard because, every other team in baseball, every business has been impacted by COVID. I don't deny that the Reds have been impacted by COVID, but I don't trust the Castellanos or that front office one little tiny bit when it comes to this because where there's a will, there's a way. I know that's not a pun based on on Wade Miley and all that fun stuff. I'm just saying where there's a will, there's a way. There's a way to get things done. Do you want to win or not? What was the purpose years ago of going all in? Did you mean to tell me that the Reds' sole purpose of getting Moustakas, Wade Miley, Nick Castellanos, Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, what was the purpose of getting all of those guys? Because we're going to go all in for 2 years? That is horrible management. You went in on those guys because you were trying to build a contender, a long-lasting contender, right? Like, Reds fans, what do you want the front office to do? Do you want them to go all in for a 1 or 2 year run and then get rid of everybody and then start over? No, I don't think any of you out there want that. And you want to know why? Because no other team in baseball does that. It's not as if the Reds were a very good team that was coming to the end of their run. Like, for instance, the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros have a very, very good roster. And I think I read today Dusty Baker's coming back. I thought for sure that dude was going to retire. But anyways, it's frustrating because, it's not like the Astros who, if you look at the Astros this year, the Astros, of course, have a World Series caliber roster. Okay. And they get to the World Series and they might lose Correa. The rosters are probably about to blow up. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be bad. It just means they're going to lose a lot of their heavy hitters. So if you're the Astros, you're going to go after a guy. Maybe you go after Nick Castellanos. Maybe the Astros should have gone after a Wade Miley. The Astros are the type of team right now that should be going after 1 to 2 year rental guys because that's the shelf life of the run you have remaining in Houston. But the Reds were coming fresh off of a rebuild. So you don't make moves to go at it for 1 year, maybe 2. You make moves to lay the foundation to have a successful run. That's what the Cubs did with Chris Bryant and company. I know they moved on from the majority of these cats, but the bottom line is it worked. They got their World Series. They probably should have won more. Kev knows his team lost the World Series to the Cubs. But the bottom line is at the end of the day, the Cubs did it the right way. Yes, they lost a lot of games for a long time, but they developed their stars. They called their stars up, and then the holes that they had, they filled with free agents. And with that came a World Series quality roster, an NL Central contending roster, and they did it for 4 to 5 years. The Cincinnati Reds, they get through their rebuild, and they have their Jesse Winker. They have their Eugenio Suarez. They have their Luis Castillo. Okay, Tucker Barnhart again. No one's lining up to take Tucker Barnhart, but he was a core piece of that success. You had Joey Votto, the bridge guy from the last good run with the Reds into what was supposed to be this good run, right? So you've developed those young pieces of talent. You have your Nick Senzels who are ready, your Jonathan Indias. So now that's when you spend your money. That's when you go get your Trevor Bauers. That's when you bring your Sonny Grays over. That's when you go get your Moustakas and your Castellanos and your Akiyamas, even though Akiyama didn't work out, but I still appreciated the effort. The Reds looked like badasses a few years ago when they announced the signing of all the free agents. When you had Mike Moustakas standing side by side with Nick Castellanos and Shogo Akiyama, they brought in Wade Miley to add to the mix as well. I mean, my goodness, the Reds look like, hey, we're here to party. We're here to have a good time. We're here to, F some stuff up, man. Like, we're here to have some fun. And then now all of a sudden we're hearing about, we got to get rid of our cable because we got to cut back on some of our spending. We're gonna have poverty soup. We're gonna have ramen for dinner from now on because we just don't have any money, right? Like, they're just playing this whole little sympathy BS game. Give me a break. You either want to win or you don't. You're a professional baseball organization. I don't want to hear no small market BS. You either want to win or you don't. It's that simple. You went through all of that. You brought in Castellanos and Moustakas and Akiyama and Wade Miley and you brought in Trevor Bauer. You brought in your Sonny Gray. You made all of those moves just so you can finish one game above 500 in 2020, get embarrassed in the playoffs that year. Then you could bring back some of that core the next year, make a bunch of moves at the trade deadline to fill the flaws that you had in the first half, just so that your manager cannot use any of the pieces that you brought in at the deadline. And then you have the easiest schedule in baseball the second half of the way. You were in position to win the wild card and to make the playoffs, and instead you lost multiple series to the Pirates. You lost multiple series to the Cubs, who blew up their roster to position themselves to take two of your guys, Wade Miley and Nick Castellanos, most likely. You lost to them multiple times. You lost to the Tigers multiple times. You lost to the Marlins. That's what you went all in for. That's what the Reds spent a record amount in free agency 2 years ago, $160 million, the most the Reds had ever spent in free agency. You did all of that to finish one game above 520, embarrassed in the playoffs, and then to go on in a beyond embarrassing skunk fest the second half and choke away your playoff opportunity. That's what you went all in for. I don't get it. I don't like it. Could respect it if they were repositioning money to go all in to bring in new core pieces, but no. What they're saying is, we just got to realign our revenue, our payroll to fit our resources. Kev, when you hear that, Nick Kroll, their general manager, says, well, right now it was tough to see Barnhart go, but this was all about repositioning our payroll to fit our resources. What does that sound like to you?
Being cheap.
Yeah.
Being cheap. And it's especially difficult when you see the Atlanta Braves win a World Series this year. They won 88 games this year. So that's proof that you don't have to, quote unquote, win 100 games to win a World Series. Mm-hmm. You need to get into the playoffs in, that good old adage, anything can happen and everything like that. So when you hear phrases like that, and then you hear phrases coming out of Cleveland, they're talking about getting another minority owner to get some more revenue boosted into the team, to get some hitting around that good pitching they have. That's what I worry about if I was a Reds fan. So if you're saying we don't have any money, okay, fine. What are we doing to get some more money? I know you ain't about to charge us, the fan, no more money. You need to go find another minority owner to get some more revenue in there, an extra influx of cash, so you can get more players or keep players.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing right now, we talked about the Rams in the NFL earlier. I love the Rams. I hear Colin talk about this all the time. You know, what you don't want, if your pro sports team is owned by an old stuffy dude who, you know, it's just an investment to them, that they're not big sports fans, that it's just an investment to them. But then you get those, like, you look at Ballmer, you know, you look at the owner of the Mets, you know, when that happened, and Cohen, and you look at all these guys that are taking it. You look at the Rams right now. Look at these teams. They're not sitting there saying, well, we don't have a lot of money. No, they reposition it. They're packaging draft picks. They're doing anything and everything they can. The Mets went all out. Did it work out? Not necessarily. But do you think that the fans, you know, the fans don't have the right to bitch and say their team's not trying? Sure, it's not working out on the field. This is why I said this about the Browns with OBJ when they made the trade. Everyone's like, oh, the Browns made a mistake by getting OBJ. No, I don't believe they made a mistake by getting OBJ, Kev. I think it didn't work out, obviously. But when the Browns went after OBJ, as a Browns fan that just witnessed watching an 0-16 season 2 years prior, what that said to me was, we give a bleep. Okay, we got our quarterback. We finally have our quarterback. We just won 7 games after going 0-16. And man, had we the 2 games we lost by 1 possession, we would have been a 9-win team and in the playoffs after being 0-16 the year before. The Browns said, you know what? We got to go all in. John Dorsey at the time, we're going to go get Odell Beckham Jr. All right? They loaded up that defense. They loaded up that offense. Did it work out? No. But did I question? I wasn't mad at the front office because they tried this past offseason. They go get John Johnson. They go get, you know, the secondary guys from the Rams. They load up on defense. Sure, Tech McKinley's not this, you know, world hitter, whatever. I don't care. You go out and get Jadeveon Clowney. Okay, super, great. But they tried. They said, we're not just going to sit on our hands and, what, you know, after the success the Browns had last year, we're not going to sit on our hands and take a step back. We're going to do everything we can to put this team in position to take a step forward. I love that. Has it worked out this year? Not yet. Maybe won't at all. But I can't get mad at Andrew Berry, who gave a rip and tried. All right. And that's the thing about the Mets. Did it work out? Did they make the playoffs? Did they choke down the stretch as well? Yes, they did. But did they try? Absolutely. I can respect that. How about the Padres? You know, they spent all of that money. They go get you Darvish. You know, you have Machado. You have all these guys that you've invested a ton of money into. You gave a rip. Did it work out? No. Were there expectations that you lived up to? No. Led to the firing of your manager? Yes, because you have expectations of greatness. You don't just settle for, well, we finished above 500. Who cares if we miss the playoffs? You give a rip. I'm jealous of the Padres fans. I'm jealous of the Mets fans. I'm jealous. I'm a Browns fan. I feel pretty good. I know the season's been hell, but you know what? The only reason we care, the only reason we feel like we're being duped by the Browns right now is because they have expectations. And you know how you get expectations? You have good players. You know how you get good players? You actually have owners that give a rip. And the Reds cared for a very small amount of time. They tried for a very short window, and I don't get that. Because if you're going to invest in a team, you got to invest not long term, but I mean a hell of a lot longer than 2 years. So when the Reds started the rebuild in 2014 and they lost 90 games after 90 games after 90 games.
How many games?
Well, 9, 18, 27. They lost 300 games in 3 years. I mean, my goodness. They went through all of that. We as fans, me as a radio host, you as a guy that's not a Reds fan that has to sit here and me bitch about a team that lost a lot of games. We had to go through all of that, Reds fans, so we can get a 2-year mini run and then right back to where we started back in 2015. Are you serious? They spent more time losing. They spent more time being an embarrassment than they did being the talk of baseball, and even then it wasn't that long. And now they are using COVID as an excuse as to why they are, well, trying to realign their payroll to their resources. Give me a break. If your resources aren't up to par to be competitive with teams in Major League Baseball, Cincinnati is too storied of a city when it comes to Major League Baseball to be putting up with that crap. They've been around longer than any other team in baseball, and yet they're so behind every other team in baseball. I don't get it. And you have officially become the most embarrassing franchise in that city. And that's saying a lot considering all the smack I've talked about that other team in Cincinnati.
You saw smack about the other team in Cincinnati?
They give a rip. I rip Mike Brown. I think the guy's, you know, he makes boneheaded decisions. But my goodness, Bengals fans, the only reason you chirp at me as much as you do is because they spend money. They go get guys. They're aggressive. Something that the Bengals, who I hate with the national perception of the Bengals, is, oh, Mike Brown's cheap. He's not cheap. He's never been cheap. He's just been done with his money, but he's never been cheap. He's paid his guys. That's what makes this Jesse Bates thing so head-scratching, is why aren't you taking care of Bates?
Pays his own guys.
and they go and get Hendrickson in the offseason. They got a Woozy. They made some big moves in the offseason. Good for they get, Riley Reef, which again, I'm complimenting that from the standpoint of, yes, you addressed it. You didn't address the protecting of Joe Burrow long term, but you made moves. They spent $200+ million in free agency over the last 2 years. Bengals fans, Mike Brown cares. They want to win. I question their methods. I question their decision-making, but I cannot question their desire to want to win because, well, they put their money where their mouth is. So good for the Bengals. And the fact that the Reds have put me in a position that I have to compliment Mike Brown and the damn Bengals, that makes me even more angry. 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Nick, line 2.
Nick, how are you, sir? If it's Nick, the Nick I think of, Nick, call back. We'll get you back to the front of the line. I appreciate everyone who's waited on hold while I go on this long little tirade. I couldn't believe it. Wade Miley. I loved Wade Miley, not just because of the no-hitter. I feel like you could blame Homer Bailey, by the way. Homer Bailey throws 2 no-hitters, and they waste all that money on him, and I think that the no-hitter is what screwed Wade Miley. Had Wade Miley not thrown a no-hitter, the Reds would have paid him. But I think the Reds were like, well, the last guy that threw a no-hitter for us, we paid him, and look how bad that turned out. I don't know what's going on in the mind of not Mike Brown, I'm sorry, the Castellinis, who, by the way, I've given the Castellinis credit over the years. I respected the fact that they went after that built that roster. The only reason I'm pissed is because they put a roster together that's good enough for me to get my expectations up to get mad. But you can't just give your fan base a good roster for 2 years and then go right back to the drawing board after making us wait for 5 years. I'm pissed, and you should be as well. And I don't care for a Reds affiliate. The bottom line is that we're a Reds affiliate because of all the Reds fans in Dayton. And we're giving you Reds baseball. And, you're pissed too. And I love when they do that too. Oh, you can't talk bad about the team because then you're going to get other people mad, as if you guys are too stupid to be mad on your own without dumb old Kinner here telling you to be. You don't think I'm telling you something you guys don't already feel? I'm just validating what you guys all think. I have never understood that. But we had an old sales manager that used to get on me all the time. You talk too bad about the Reds. Oh, you mean the team that's losing 90 games a year? I look at my sales manager like, look, I'm not trying to be all OBJ and I know more than you, but you got to be kidding me. You're going to tell me I have to say good things about a team that's losing 90 games a year? Are you kidding me? You don't think, I'm not going to treat our listeners like they're stupid. I'm not going to treat them like they're stupid, like they don't know that what they're watching is a bad baseball team. So my responsibility as an affiliate of the Reds is to tell you that a bad team is good? No. Because then you would laugh at me, and I say a lot of stupid things that you mock me for anyways, but I'm not going to say, oh, man, the Reds, they're doing a lot of great things. I can't believe all the sports media out of Cincinnati, and we've talked about this before, making lame excuses. My goodness. It did not take long at all for the Reds media to come to the defense of the Reds. I'm like, are we doing this again? Are we doing this again? I can't do it. I can't deal with it. It's frustrating. So Reds fans, we disagree on a lot of stuff. I think that the only topic that on this show that does bring me a lot of people that I can connect is Reds baseball. That's the only time that, Kev, I'm telling you, that's the only team I can rip and get no negative feedback back. If I rip the Bengals, their fans get super pissed. And this was before I was labeled the Bengals hater. Okay, Buckeye fans. I'm a Buckeye fan, but if I rip the Buckeyes or question them, oh, you're a hater. You're a hater. I do have a serious question. Why is it when I rip the Reds that's the only fan base that gives me the green light to rip their team? Why? I don't get it.
No clue.
And I'm not mocking it. I'm being kind of it is head scratching to me. I criticize the Buckeyes when it's needed. Those fans get mad. When the Bengals won 6 games in 2 years, that's not a very good team. So, of course, there's not a whole lot of good things to talk about. So when I say bad things about your team, that fan base got pissed. And I'm like, I thought you knew. Is it that the Reds fans are smarter than Bengals fans? Maybe that's what it is. Are Reds fans smarter than Buckeye fans? Probably.
How dare you?
That's the only thing I could think of, is that the only rational fan base out there are Reds fans. And I think it's because they want someone in the media that's not going to tell you that poop smells like roses. We'll be back.
No cap.
That was a weird line, by the way.
have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future. Control it.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Black Friday starts now at JCPenney. And this Friday through Sunday, shop early and save with thousands of new Black Friday deals while they last. Sparkle everyone's stocking with up to 75% off all fine jewelry. Plus, stock up on Home Expressions bath towels, now only $2.99 each. These deals and many more end Sunday. Happy Black Friday, JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 11/5 to 11/7. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Whether you're vaccinated or not, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign of COVID and the flu, so make sure you use an accurate thermometer. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them and are not reliable. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Nothing protects your engine better than AMSOIL lubricants. Get ready for winter. Protect your investment. AMSOIL, the first in synthetic since 1972. Come out to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Friday. Second round of the playoffs for high school football begin tonight. Woo! And so starting in Division I, Centerville is at Toledo Whitmer.
Yes, sir.
Dublin Jerome will be at Springfield. Springfield again, just looking to try and get back to the state championship. Their team this year is stacked and loaded. Centerville, I'm impressed with them as well at D1. Piqua. And again, I apologize to Piqua last week because I'm like, here they are. I didn't realize they were number one in Division II. I mean, Piqua, good for them. I'm not mocking them. I'm telling you, I had no clue. That's on me. They should have been getting love a long time ago because we talk so much about the Springfields, the Centervilles, and the Waynes of the world. But Piqua just been silently just kicking behind every week. They're 10-0 now. They second round of the playoffs. They got Cincinnati Winthrop tonight at Piqua.
Got a nice player on their team. Drayshawn Roberts also is a pretty good basketball player too. So yeah, got some stars out there.
River, you got Stabbins. Stabbins is going to be at Edgewood tonight out of Division II. Division III, Chaminade Julienne CJ out. They're going to be taking on the Rough Riders of St. Mary's.
Rough Riders!
They'll be at St. Mary's tonight. Alter still in the playoffs. They're at Tip City, 9-2 on the year. Alter 6-5 after their win last week. And then CJ 4-5 on the season as they're at St. Mary's, as I mentioned, out of the WBL, the Western Buckeye League. Speaking of the Western Buckeye League, Wapakoneta, they will be at Bellbrook tonight out of D3. And then Division IV, Troy Christian at St. Henry, the Redskins. That's where my fiance's family is from. That's where my fiance is from. So there you go. St. Henry welcoming in Troy Christian tonight. So there's that. But that's some of the high school football action here. Playoffs, round 2, and we'll keep you updated on some of that. We're talking about the Reds a little bit ago. Joey Votto's name is trending on Twitter. And, I fall habit of this all the time of, oh, man, I hate when players like OBJ and Aaron Rodgers and these guys, they hold their teams hostage. Give me my way. I want out of here, Ben Simmons, all that stuff. But, there is a slight difference. Aaron Rodgers drives me nuts because Aaron Rodgers has no right to bitch and complain the way that he does about, the Packers. I feel so disrespected. Do you feel so disrespected about that top offensive line you have every year? Do you feel so disrespected about having the number one wide receiver in football that your team drafted for you, by the way? Well, and I've never understood that, Kev. Why does it matter what round your talent's drafted in? Who can, I mean, so Devontae Adams, you're pissed that you have Devontae Adams. You would feel better about Devontae Adams if he was a first-round draft pick as opposed to later. Like, what's the big deal?
I think Aaron Rodgers' issue is that we have to develop so many guys. We want a situation where Jamar Chase just shows up. Oh, man, he's one of the best players in the league. Devontae Adams wasn't that. Like, he developed into that. He worked his butt off to get there. But at this stage of his career, he wants plug and play. And to want plug and play, you're not going to get that out of the Green Bay Packers organization. He's going to have to go the Tom Brady route if he wants to do that. He's going to have to go to somewhere that has a ton of weapons already, and he's just like the missing key, so to speak. But what he wants is plug and play. He wants dudes that can just drop in and just ball out of control. And like you talked about before with Aaron Rodgers, he technically does himself no favors. Like winning last Thursday with -3 of his best receivers, one out with COVID, the other one out with a broken thumb, and then the tight end out with a broken ankle, and you still win the game. That is exactly why they say no. That is exactly why they say, yeah, we're going to get more of this type of guy or that type of guy. We'll find somebody in the 5th round, 3 or 4 years. It'll be Devontae Adams part 2. Thanks to you, Aaron. I mean, it's a catch-22. I understand his frustration, but at the same time, it's like, man, well, if we're getting these necessary parts that, you know, other teams and other franchises would kill for to have the offensive line, to have the protection that he has, but dang, man, they got this cool weapon. I want this cool weapon. I'm good enough to escape and everything like that. If I'm good enough to make these ancillary parts work, I'm good enough to play with a mediocre offensive line too. I think that's where his head is. I think he really wants these plug and play players that you see across the league, like you see up in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, plug and play, 1,300 yards straight out of college. Jamar Chase, 800 yards in 8 games straight out of college. Like, I think that's what his desire is.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is an idiot because first of all, Jamar Chase, the Bengals were very confident in Jamar Chase. They were excited. I mean, they were willing to put Joe Burrow's health to the side to make sure that they got this kid. I will say, and I don't care what any Bengals fan out there says, he is better than you thought he was going to be. He is better than you thought he was going to be. The Vikings with Justin Jefferson, when they drafted him, they thought he would be a good, solid playmaker in the early going. He was better than they thought he was going to be. So these
1,300 yards off the rip.
So, like, the Packers are supposed to know that, okay, we could draft a Justin Jefferson, but you don't know that they're Justin Jefferson until they're Justin Jefferson. Because I guarantee you, if you look at the teams that picked in front of the Bengals, if they knew that Jamar Chase was going to be this Jamar Chase, I think you might see Jamar Chase not be available at number 5. And that's saying something because receivers don't go that high in the draft. There's a reason that the Bengals were criticized for taking Jamar Chase as high. And it wasn't all because of like the narrative I like to push about the offensive line. It was just because, well, that's the type of position you can get anywhere. Well, if that was true, more of those guys would pop. But not a lot of guys that are drafted high in the draft do pop at wide receiver. It's usually later in the first round and the second. I mean, Justin Jefferson wasn't a high draft pick.
DK Metcalf, second round.
So my point is with Aaron Rodgers, you know, who cares if this, you know, amazing, if you go to this fancy ass restaurant and they get all their food from Aldi, does it matter how the food is made? Does it matter where you go to get the food? Does it matter? All that matters is that you put together such a great meal that you're able to charge a lot for it. And that's the Packers. Who cares if the talent comes in the first round or the 7th round? If anything, that says that the Packers are a better organization than half the teams in the National Football League. Because if you have to rely, I mean, it's easy. I'm not taking a shot at the Bengals here, but hear me out. I think you guys could even get this. It's easy to screw up early draft picks, but at the same time, it wasn't hard to draft Joe Burrow. Do you think that Mike Brown and whoever the makeshift GM is there, do you think that they were scratching their head and losing sleep at night saying, man, who do we draft? Who do we draft? I don't know what to do. Man, what if, oh my gosh, I don't. No, it was Joe Burrow. It was easy. It was easy. And then you get to the 2nd round of that very same draft. Oh man, I don't know. We got to take a chance. It was T. Higgins. It was easy. It was very, very easy. Like, it's easy to pop on those early round draft picks like that. Now, to Aaron's point, he's probably saying, man, so if you did take more for sure things, mix them with the elements that you guys get later in the draft, maybe I could see his point of view from there. But at the end of the day, you cannot be an MVP quarterback that has won a ton of games, that was in the NFC title game 3 the last 5 years. You have a ton of talent on your roster, and you're mad because, well, we're talented, but we didn't get the talent in the first round, so that's why I'm mad. Like, you sound like a complete moron. I mean, you sound as dumb as you look. I'm just saying, like, it's unbelievable to me. So on top of that, I bring all of that up because you got guys like that who they complain just to complain. Then, you know, you have OBJ, who he's more concerned. I mean, he's on a team that could, you know, a Super Bowl contending team, but he's more worried about him. There's a video circulating today that had, Nick Chubb was like, hey, man, we're going to get you the ball. We're going to get you the ball. And he told Stefanski, don't worry about it. I just want to win. Just if, hey, they're stopping me. They're not stopping Kareem Hunt. Keep feeding Hunt the ball. I just want to win. And then there's another clip that circulates after that. It's Stefanski saying, we're going to get you the ball. We're going to get you the ball. Good. Give me the ball. Give me the damn ball. And they lose that game. Like, there's a difference, okay? So with that being said, OBJ is pissed off because, hey, I'm on a team that's, I know they're last place, but they're a 500 team, and they're 500 only because of the fact of injuries, okay? He's on a team that could potentially make a deep run into the playoffs and flirt with the Super Bowl, but he's more concerned about me. I want my touches. I want my catches, which is fine when you're a star player. I don't expect you not to be that way, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be void from being criticized for it. So it's a double-edged sword. You have athletes that are like that hold their front office accountable. But Odell Beckham Jr. went to the front office of the Browns and said, trade me. They couldn't trade him, by the way. I guess it was broke today that he did go to the front office and say, trade me. He's holding the front office accountable. If you're not going to use me the right way, get me out of here. Okay, cool. Aaron Rodgers, same thing, except his bluff got called. He wasn't serious. He, trying to threaten to sit out. He wasn't going to play. He's in, going on vacation and celebrity friends, and he's just too cool for school, right? So, he's trying to hold the front office accountable. I don't like it, but at the same time, you know what I really wish would happen? I wish Joey Votto would have done what some of these diva players do. I really wish that Joey Votto would go into the front office of the Reds and say, what the hell are you doing? I've given you my entire career. You've gotten the best of Joey Votto. I could have forced my way out of here. I could have demanded a trade to the Yankees. I could have demanded a trade to the Astros or whoever. I could have demanded. I stuck it out with you. You owe me. Now, will there still be people that say, oh, there's Joey Votto being a me guy? Well, sometimes I do believe, I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that the Packers deserve Aaron Rodgers calling them out, because they've provided him with everything. They win a ton of games. They're in the playoffs every year. They've been to the 3 of the last 5 NFC championship games. So, Aaron Rodgers calling them out is kind of silly. But at the same time, if the Reds had a player like Aaron Rodgers, I know it's different sports, but I mean the personality, if the Reds had an Aaron Rodgers, or if the Reds had an Odell Beckham Jr., or if the Reds had a, LeBron's low-hanging fruit here, but like a LeBron James who uses his weight when it comes to the front office, the Reds would be better off. This is my only knock about Joey Votto right now, because what he did last year, after years and years of mediocrity, to have the year that he did, I'm happy for him. I would love to see him continue that. But then when I see the Reds make moves like they did today, I'm like, why? The Reds don't deserve Joey Votto. Joey Votto needs to put his chest out and say, trade me. Get rid of me. You don't deserve me. Or he needs to go in there and say, what the hell are you doing? Get Castellanos. Get him. And don't be asking me to take less money. You are a $1 billion organization. Don't tell me to take less money.
How much left on the contract?
I think it's 2 years. I mean, he's getting a good chunk of change, but he's earned it. The fact that you have 2 years left on your deal and you put together numbers that are the equivalent to your MVP year.
Right.
I mean, Joey Votto should not take any less money. I'm not a big fan of players taking less money. I'm not. But I may sound hypocritical because I get on quarterbacks for taking every dollar that's available to them. But what I say is, you don't get to take every dollar that's available to you and then bitch because there's not enough money remaining to go get you every weapon that you want. That's
the difference between baseball and basketball and football. There's no salary cap in baseball. You can pay them whatever you want. And, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. You know what I'm saying? You can have a $1 bazillion salary. It don't matter. If you can pay the players, it don't matter. So as far as Joey Votto's concerned about wanting out, I mean, if you would want to,
I wish he would put pressure on the front office. Like they just float by. And that drives me nuts about Joey Votto. I ripped AJ Green about that too with the Bengals, not because I hate the Bengals, but it's like, come on, AJ Green. Like you bail out the Bengals over the last couple of years when the Bengals were really bad. And AJ Green kept saying, I love it here. Because everyone's like, oh, man, AJ Green, he's going to want out. The Bengals need to start winning. They have a star. They need to start winning. Oh, no, I'm fine. I love it here. I would love to spend the rest of my career here. I'm like, even if you think that, stop telling them that, because all you're doing is giving them a pass. So, oh, he's content. He ain't going anywhere. We don't need to do anything. We don't feel the pressure to. You know what I mean? So that's Joey Votto. The front office is about to go through its second rebuild with Joey Votto playing at a high level. And I'm just like, how does that happen? Then we rip stars because they leave the market. I can't get mad at Trevor Bauer for bolting Cincinnati. I can't get mad at Nick Castellanos for bolting Cincinnati. What's there to stay for? so that you can continue to get, you're going to pay me. That's super. But are you going to put pieces around me? Because what's the point? Because he can go to the Dodgers, get paid, and have players around him. So that's the problem I have is I'm not a big fan. I'm a hypocrite. I'll admit it. I hate when players call out their teams. I hate when Aaron Rodgers pushes his weight around with the ownership. I hate when Odell Beckham Jr. tries to bully the front office of the Browns and all that. I hate it. We call them divas, right? We call them all these names. Oh, prima donna, blah, blah, blah. I hate it. But at the same time, I do believe that every team needs some kind of star to hold the front office accountable. And I can't tell you the last time. Actually, I can. Brandon Phillips. That was the last dude that had the balls on this team to go at the front office and say, "Nah, man, that ain't cool."
I got a great BP story. Not air appropriate though.
I'm sure. But Brandon Phillips was willing to hold them accountable. Like there was no, oh, I'm content here. Oh, it's okay that you gave Joey Votto the money you said you were going to give me. Oh, it's okay that you gave Homer Bailey the money, some of the money you said you were going to give me. It's okay. I'll just sit here. Oh, no, because then what happened? Brandon Phillips, he was a problem. He was a locker room cancer. We had to get rid of him. The $1 million smile. Fans loved him. But he was a locker room cancer. Why? Because he had the nerve to hold an ownership group accountable, and nobody does that, not even Joey Votto, because Joey Votto is perfectly content cashing his checks, showing up to work, losing, and going home and sleeping just fine at night, just like A.J. Green did. A.J. Green was content. Bengals fans loved A.J. Green. I couldn't stand A.J. Green, not because he was good, but because of the fact that I'm like, where are you? This is where you need to come in. And I'm not saying that you got to bully ownership. I'm not saying that you got to say, hey, I'm the captain of the ship now. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to say, do it my way or I'm leaving. But the front office needs to be a little uncomfortable around the players. Like they need to feel some kind of, that they owe them a little something, not outside of just paychecks. When they walk through that clubhouse or that locker room did AJ Green say, Mike Brown, can you give us some help over here? Can you do something? No. Instead, A.J. Green's like, I love Cincinnati. Who loves Cincinnati, by the way?
This guy.
Who the hell loves Cincinnati? I'm just saying, like, who? Oh, man. I mean, I love Skyline, by the way. I'm a big Skyline fan, but, like, is Skyline that good that keeps you in Cincinnati? Give me a break. So I do believe that as good as players as A.J. Green and Joey Votto are, those two hurt their organizations because they never had the guts to hold their organization to a high standard. That's the biggest thing hurting the Reds right now. I'm praising Joey Votto at the same time of putting him down because I'm like, where are you? Because clearly the fans don't matter. The Reds don't care about the fans. If the Reds cared about the fans, they would not feed them lame excuses like, oh, well, we just got to maneuver some things. We gotta get our payroll lined up with our resources, which is code for we don't have resources, which means we now don't have a payroll. So it's up to, they don't care about the fans. But if Joey Votto went to them and then got the fans behind Joey Votto going at the front office, it would snowball. And there's no pressure on the Reds front office. None whatsoever. So there you go. 518-1410. Reds fans, do you agree? Do you wish Joey Votto would kind of step up a little bit? And I know he stepped up this past year from a production standpoint. That's super. But what is that doing to help the Reds' big picture? And to Joey Votto's defense, there is no big picture for Joey Votto. It's more in the now because, but that's even more reason why Joey Votto should be either get talent or get me the hell out of here. Because there's no trade clause. If I'm Joey Votto, hey, here's the teams I want to go to. Get me out of here. For one, that's a win-win. That's the Reds freeing up payroll. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. That is the Reds adjusting payroll to fit their resources. Losers. That's what they, that would fit what they want to do, right? And then Joey Votto can actually go get what he deserves, and that's going to play on a good team. But then there's the other part of me that's like, no, Joey Votto, you don't deserve to go play on a winner because why now all of a sudden do you want to play on a winner? Where were you all these years of losing when it came to holding your team to a standard of winning? Instead, no, you're all about, you're just content. I'm going to go kind of choke swing, foul off a few, make a lot of contact, brag about how I had the longest streak in baseball of never popping out inside the infield, and then I'll go home. Or you could have continued to play at a high level and held your team accountable. But you're an enabler. When you enable your organization to not be good, you made a good point, Kev. Aaron Rodgers, a victim of his own success. because there's no pressure to get Aaron Rodgers offensive talent in the first round because he could win with anybody. Baker Mayfield is not Aaron Rodgers. So when Baker Mayfield did not have any of his weapons, against the Cardinals, I'm sitting here saying, hey, why are you expecting the second stringers to play like first stringers? It doesn't work that way, at least not with the Browns, and it definitely doesn't work like that with Baker Mayfield. Doesn't mean he's bad. It just means he's not Aaron Rodgers. And there's Aaron Rodgers doesn't come around that often. So with that being said, Aaron Rodgers gets punished. How many of us, and I've made this example before, for those of you out there in your line of work, during COVID, we had to kind of get by, right? Like all of us in our different type of jobs, we had to get by. Right now you're getting by with short staffs because it's tough to find employees right now, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you know what the bosses are thinking? Well, we just went 3 months with 2 people doing 5 people's job. Do we really need to hire those other 3 people because, hey, we're saving money? And that's what's happening you guys experience it in your everyday jobs. How many of you listening right now are so glad to be heading home because, oh, thank God it's Friday. I can go kick my feet up for a couple of days. I could watch really good college football on Saturday, watch the Browns beat the Bengals on Sunday. I can watch really good football on Sunday. Oh, I can relax because then come Monday, I got to go back to my crap job that I'm having to do the work of 500 people because my bosses can't find employees. But then when it gets to the point to where these companies can find employees, you know what they're going to say? Well, we did pretty good. We did all right. Sure, your mental health, you're just ready just to quit any day now. But hey, that's fine because as long as the job's getting done, that's all that matters, right? We don't care how it gets done. We just care that it gets done. And that's the Packers, to Kevin's point about Aaron Rodgers. Just because Aaron Rodgers can do a lot with little doesn't mean that you have to force him to do a lot with little. And just like you guys listening at your respective jobs, a lot of you are carrying the weight of 2 or 3 other employees that your company won't fill because they say, well, no one wants to work that, or it's either that, or they're saying, well, what's the rush? What's the rush? We don't need to put anybody there. Those 2 people just did those 5 people's jobs. And we're making either the same amount of money or more. Why would we lose money by hiring someone to go do that? Why would we spend money to make their lives easier? So I get it, Kev. It's like I'm countering my own argument. But yes, Aaron Rodgers is a victim of his own success. He goes out and wins that Thursday night or Monday night, whatever night it was, Thursday night football game. Wins with absolutely nobody around him. And while we're all saying, man, how great is that? The Packers are like, you're right, Kev.
We did it again. Way to go. Hey,
got him.
Let's drop another offensive guard.
So then when Aaron Rodgers is like, how come you don't take a wide receiver in the first round? Because
for what?
You just won with Justin Kinner and Kev Nash over there. That's why. And we can get them 2 losers in the 5th round.
Facts.
Aye. I don't know why I just went on that long rant, but I think my point was that you just got to hold your management accountable sometimes, because if your management will always go in sports, wink, in sports your management will always go the path of least resistance. And Joey Votto and the Castellinis are like, well, Joey Votto's our star. Joey, you good? He says, yeah. Hey, we've lost 90 games for 5 straight years, but Joey's good, so hey, we're fine. The Bengals win 6 games in 2 years. Hey, AJ Green, we good? We good? Oh yeah, he's. In fact, did you hear him? He just told the media he would love to finish his career here. That's super. No pressure to win. We're fine, right? Like, come on. Your pro teams need someone to step up and say enough is enough. And the Reds need that right now, whether it's Joey Votto or Jonathan India. I would say Nick Castellanos, but he's a victim of the Reds not giving a bleep. But the second that your organization realizes, and this is for the fans too, when the Reds fans continue to fill up downtown Cincinnati for the opening day parade every year, when opening day is continuously sold out every year, when every damn time they give out a stupid, look at this, look at all these.
Look in there.
Look at all these. Look at this for those watching. I have so many of these that I don't even know what to do with. And you want to know what these bobbleheads are in my hand? This is a Devin Mesoraco bobblehead. Gee, what were the Reds doing when Devin Mesoraco was here? Oh, yeah, losing. Oh, let's look at this. Barry Larkin. Oh, they won a lot with Barry Larkin. But you know what they've been doing a lot lately? Losing. So we'll give you a bobblehead from back when, they were winning. Actually, I like that bobblehead. Hold on. Okay. Keep that one upright. Oh, what we got here? Oh, Matt Latos. Okay, we could throw that one away. But Matt Latos, so the point is, I have so many bobbleheads in here, and every time I see these bobbleheads, it's a constant reminder that the Reds do that for you because, hey, we don't plan on putting winners on the field. We'll just take winners from our past and put them in plastic little head bobbing form and distract you from the fact that you came to the ballpark to buy overpriced beer, overpriced nachos, get a free bobblehead, and we'll call it a day. If we could do about a good 5 or 6 of these sold out Great American Ballpark games with bobbleheads, we're fine. We'll make our money and we'll be just peachy. That's the Reds. You guys bail them out. The fans bail them out because the Reds don't. There's no path of least resistance. There's no path of resistance for them at all. Because the fans will continue to show up on bobblehead day. We'll show up on the opening day parade. We'll show up on opening day. And then we'll buy into that 1 week stretch where they start winning. And then all of a sudden it's back down to reality again. And then we'll say, we'll get them next year. You guys, we're just as responsible. The outro music has played 3 times and I've ignored it. I'm sorry, folks. See, Jason Pruitt, he agrees. He said Matt Latos is a bum. Oh, man. Matt Latos looks like Joe Burrow last year. His legs over there and his body's over there. Oofa. Sad thing is, guys, I have another Matt Latos bobblehead somewhere. We'll be back in a moment. 518-1410.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear and sunny, a high near 52. Tonight will be clear and cold, a low near 26. And tomorrow will be mainly clear and sunny, a high near 56. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You love Zoom for video meetings? Now, choose Zoom to power your phone communications too. Zoom Phone works seamlessly within the Zoom app as your business phone system. Zoom Phone's secure HD audio and enterprise-grade reliability keep you connected to your teams and your customers. And it's easy to use on mobile, desktop, or desk phone. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Zoom, how the world connects.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton. Dayton Barrel Works Bourbon and Whiskey Bash is Saturday, November 20th, noon till 3 p.m. Over 40 bourbons and whiskeys to sample. For tickets, call 937-228-2337. Dayton Barrel Works, 318 East 2nd Street in Dayton.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Did you know that you might be overpaying for your prescriptions? It's okay, because there's an easy, convenient solution. Check GoodRx. GoodRx lets you compare prices at different pharmacies and shows you where to get the lowest price. Here's Joe, a doctor and GoodRx customer.
I was able to look up some medicines that I was going to get, and it saved me a good amount of money.
GoodRx is helping millions of people, and it can help you too. For simple, smart savings, check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance. In 2020, GoodRx users saved an average of 79% off retail prices. Individual compensated for their time. Visit GoodRx.com/radio to learn more.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce?
Spilled the sauce? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
I am the sauce.
Who brought the sauce? Okay.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
OHMB 803342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial home loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate. 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
We're a farm store, a family store, a look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real beasts. We're a hey neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we're working hard to be your favorite store. Check out the huge selection of men's, women's, and kids' Wrangler clothing at the lowest prices every day, like these Wrangler Retro Bootcut jeans for just $49.99.
There's confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. One thing is certain, whether you're vaccinated or not, you need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, the leading sign of flu and COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers that have no scientific studies. Only the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
There's confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. One thing is certain, whether you're vaccinated or not, you need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, the leading sign of flu and COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers that have no scientific studies. Only the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And Doug. Don't you just love the smell of old books?
This is a library.
Sorry, ma'am. We're looking for a book titled Liberty Mutual Customizes Your Car Insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction.
He really does devour literature.
Please leave.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future, control it.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
The holidays are already here at Lowe's. Get pre-lit artificial trees starting at $99. Home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, valid 11/4 through 11/10.
Lance Roofing and Siding would like to remind you that daylight savings time ends this Sunday at 2 a.m. It's time to fall back and set your clocks back an hour. A friendly reminder from your friends at Lance Roofing and Siding, here for your roofing and siding improvements. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Right now at Wendy's, try their brand new fries for yourself. Made with real natural cut potatoes and guaranteed to be hot and crispy every time, these fries aren't an afterthought. They're fries you won't forget at participating U.S. Wendy's.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we're back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. Like, follow along, and then, of course, we are live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to that. All right, Ron Moreland on Facebook says, we have not heard from the true American. He said, we have not heard from the true American. Oh, wow. Steve from Springboro, you're being called out. Ron Moreland says he called you an American cream pie poodle.
Speaking of Ron, do you still have that audio from earlier this week?
Not lined up or queued up, but it can be here soon. Ron, that was pretty impressive. That was the best call Ron's ever had. But they said they don't know what the true American is. They said they haven't heard from him in a long time. Can't wait to spank them poodles. Only chance the Browns have of winning is if, well, yeah, Ron, you lost me. I got nothing there. I can't follow what you're saying. I think you tried too hard with the digs and you stop making sense. At least that's what people tell me anyway. Gary Peck on Facebook says 59 starting quarterbacks ranked last year. Baker ranked ahead of 48 of them. Gary, your point? How many of those quarterbacks that you're saying Baker is behind were in the playoffs last year? I'll wait. And by the way, I think you're full of it because there's no way in hell that that's accurate. Because on the other side of that, keep in mind that last year, especially this is the time of year where Baker took off last year. Only two quarterbacks had more passing yards, more touchdowns, and a higher QBR than Baker Mayfield in the final 8 games of last season. And that was Aaron Rodgers, and that was Patrick Mahomes. So Gary Peck, wherever you find your little stats from imwrong.com or whatever it is you search for your stuff, keep searching there. It's not doing you a whole hell of a lot of good. I promise you that much. But 518-1410, that's the number to call in. College football this weekend. And, the college football playoff, Kev, I love it because there's so much to talk about. But, man, it's like I'm so sick of, like, the Cincinnati fan base. They're still just pounding their drum. I saw Game Day was in town today, and you should have seen the look on the smiles of the Bearcat fans' faces. David Pollock. Mm-hmm. Frank Pollock, my bad. David Pollock. He got out there. He got up on the little stage with a straight face and looked at all the Bearcat fans, and you know what he said? It's cute. He goes, you guys should be in over the Buckeyes. Oh, and then y'all fools just, oh my God, he's awesome. By the way, you same fans that probably rip this dude every single week for his SEC love and all that stuff. Now he winked at you. He told you you're cute. Might even said you're kind of pretty. Might even said he'd buy you a drink. Now you got all butterflies in your stomach, and people love Pollock all of a sudden. Oh, they love him, Kev. And that is what we call pandering. He's pandering. Ohio State wouldn't beat Navy by 7. Ohio State wouldn't beat Tulane by less than 10 points or whatever it was. He's pandering. It's cute. 100 RPI or 100 strength of schedule. It's okay. Whatever makes you guys feel better. I hope he made you feel better. Look, ESPN's in a tough spot because Game Day went to Cincinnati. You guys got mad at Game Day because, apparently ESPN makes the ranking. They just reveal the ranking. But there was all these Bearcat fans who were talking about boycotting Game Day. Can you imagine boycotting Game Day because you don't like where the committee, 13 people on the committee put you at 6, and you're going to take it out on all poor Kirk Herbstreit?
What a student body won't be boycotting.
Yeah.
Like maybe the people that aren't actually students and live on campus or live around campus, they're not passing up opportunity to party.
Because they know
let's be
football.
clear. No,
they understand that it's okay where they're at.
No, they understand they want to party.
I want to party.
They're college kids.
You want to party? You want to go?
Well,
College
I mean,
kids.
you're going to be in Cincinnati on.
I'll just make a weekend of it.
Make a weekend of it. Get a hotel. You know what I'm saying? Stay at the Hyatt. Get it in.
Oh, yeah. So Will on Facebook says, Jeff Ruby feeding these guys tonight $500. Man, Kenner, you need that gig. What are you talking about? I have a mean Salisbury steak that I'm about to slap in the microwave when I get home. Those banquet dinners.
Pizza night at the Nash household.
I don't even know what I'm going to have. Usually we do Mexican food every Friday. Nora gets her margarita, and then I get the street tacos.
I could get a bad one tonight.
Yeah, we go to El Toro.
Some margaritas tonight. That do sound good.
No, those street tacos at El Toro, man. Holy smokes, those are the best. Those are the best.
That's not a bad idea.
And then get the queso. You put the queso over the chicken and the cilantro and the onion with the corn tortillas, and you dip it in that really hot cilantro sauce that they have. And holy smokes, I'm starving. I'm on this damn calorie counter thing, and by the end of the day, my blood pressure. I look at that dumb apple. Oh yeah,
dude. I've had 3 apples, 2 bananas. So I'm sure this is all about sports talk, but so I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Jim, I'm putting you on hold.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Obviously, just like everybody else out there, I'm a pig out. So like throughout the month, I'm trying to, make sure I don't pig out during the rest of the week. So I got a bag of broccoli in the refrigerator downstairs in the cafeteria, but I also have this. If anybody can see that. Can you see that?
Dash pass.
Yeah. I got some Mrs. Dash for some seasoning on my broccoli. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm eating a lot of broccoli, a lot of vegetables.
See, my fries usually come seasoned. So.
To gear up for Thanksgiving. So trying to shed like at least 5 to 10 pounds.
Who the hell gets in shape for Thanksgiving?
Because I'm about to get it in on Thanksgiving.
Hey.
It is Friday.
And you did say you were getting some bad wines. I'm just saying. Cap.
No cap.
Damn it.
No cap.
I have to figure this out.
This is no cap. This is no cap. It's Friday.
And
bad wines, pizza.
Kinner's no longer cool. I don't think Kinner ever was cool, but it's moments like this that I realize I have no chance. It's only gonna get worse as we all get older. Like eventually you will fall out of the new lingo. I'm just saying. That
is true. Shouts out to my nephew. Keeps me hip.
Yeah, I'm only familiar with all the new bad words that kids say when my cousins call me names and stuff. So there's that. 518-1410. Caller, who's this? I put you on hold. I apologize. Who is this, Jim?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, Justin. I wanted to talk about Odell, but first, you got to give the Bengals and the Bengals fans a little bit of credit for Jamar, because all summer you pounded us Bengals fans that wanted Jamar Chase, saying that we should have took the offensive lineman. And now when it comes out that we're right, you keep saying, well, you didn't know he was going to be this.
You didn't.
You got to give us.
You know why you didn't? Because no receiver has ever been this good. Nobody knew he's going to be this good. The best he could have been was Justin Jefferson, which still would not have been good enough to justify passing up on an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow. The only reason people aren't talking about the offensive line still is because of how good Jamar Chase has been. I wasn't wrong. The Bengals still should have prioritized the offensive line. And you know what? There's still 9 games left. And if Joe Burrow ends up having another season-ending injury, which I'm not hoping for, but I will do the whole I told you so thing if it does happen. I don't care how classless that makes me. I'm just saying, like, you guys are chirping 7 weeks or 8 weeks in. I'm like, the season hadn't finished yet. Let's just wait and see. Let's make sure Joe Burrow stays healthy the rest of the week. That's all.
I'm just saying, you pounded us all year for
rightfully so.
Chase, or even for wanting to. No, it's not rightfully so. He's the best receiver in the NFL. So
he's not the best. No. You ain't gonna go there. He's having he's the best rookie receiver in the NFL.
Okay, but he's a top 5 receiver in all of it. Actually, last time I checked, which was like a week ago, so it could have changed, he was like top 4 receiver in the whole NFL.
I mean, having the 4th most receiving yards and being the 4th best receiver in football is kind of a couple different things. But no, I'm not backing down on that. And by the way, see, this is why I don't even like complimenting your team, because when I do that, I still have people like you, and I'm sure you're a good dude, Jim, but this is in the context of this argument, so don't take nothing personal. But, but, I sit there, I've been saying how good Jamar Chase is, but I'm adamant that nobody knew he was going to be that good. Mike Brown and them are lucky because, by the way, every time they draft somebody, they say he's going to be good, and they end up being nobodies. I mean, Billy Price was supposed to be the best center in football. Now, he's probably playing center for some pickup basketball game at the YMCA somewhere. So at the end of the day, nobody knew he was going to be this good.
It just feels from a Bengals perspective like it's a cop out. Like, okay, yeah, he's good. I don't want to give you credit for it, so I'll just say, well, you didn't know he was going to be that good. The Patriots didn't know Brady was going to be that good, but they still get credit for drafting.
They don't. I don't give them credit for drafting. That everyone takes quarterbacks late in the draft. Nobody, like, everyone's like, oh, he could be the next Tom Brady. If you think the Patriots knew when they drafted Tom Brady late in that draft that we have a future dynasty leading quarterback here? No, they did not.
No, they didn't. But what I'm saying, no, they
absolutely. So you just proved my point. That's my point. They did not know that. So yes, the Bengals did not know that either.
They still get credit for drafting and making the pick.
Well, I mean, we can acknowledge that they drafted him. I mean, with the 5th pick in the 2021 NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Odell. We'll continue to disagree about Jamar, but anyways, Odell. I don't think I'm saying obviously, but you're absolutely right about this. Is the only thing that I pretty much agree with you on when it comes to Bengals and Browns. But
okay.
Odell, the Browns are definitely better without Odell. He does not fit that system or that team. And I think the receivers are going to probably feel better about themselves because they ain't got to look over at Odell every time that he doesn't get the ball thrown his way and be like, oh, man, he's going to be mad. Oh, man, he's going to have an attitude. They can just relax and play ball. You know what I'm saying? I think they have a better chemistry, and they do. They do play better without Odell. So I kind of wish they had kept them, honestly. But anyways,
I know that's why I was like, at the end of the day, the Browns on Sunday, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? You know, how much dysfunction is there behind the scenes, even with him gone? How much dysfunction is still left as far as locker room divide and all that? I don't anticipate that being the problem, but I'm pretty confident that if Baker just returns to playing loose and confident, that the Browns that's when they're at their best, and that's when he's at his best. It doesn't mean that he is the best in the league, but that's when he's at his best. That's good enough to get the Browns where they need to go. At this point last year, they were 5-3. At this point last year, everyone was loving on the Browns, and they had one more win than they do right now, and everyone's acting now like they only have 2 wins or none.
Well, let's just hope that they don't find that better chemistry until after this weekend.
Well, I mean, they have no chance. I mean, they have the best receiver since Jerry Rice on the Bengals, so I don't even think I give the Browns a negative 5% chance against old Jamar Chase. So there you go.
Okay, good talking to you guys. Love the show.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Take care.
See ya.
I know a cop out. That wasn't no cop out. What's a cop-out is me saying, if the Browns lose on Sunday, of course they did. They were distracted all week. That damn, I'm just saying, no. By the way, that's what's going to happen if they end up losing. Just saying.
That's what you're going to say?
That's exactly what's going to happen. If they lose, look, all week they couldn't focus on the Bengals. They were worrying about OBJ as the world turns.
But if they win?
They rose up through adversity.
Got it all mapped out.
No, that's what it is. It's always the same storylines with teams. When you win with injured players, it's you stepped up and you rose above adversity. And then, when you lose, it's because you're distracted. You weren't mentally into it. What were the Bengals past Sunday? Forgot to ask old Jimbo about that. Jimbo!
Mike White caught fire.
Yes, he did. Time to go. Happy Friday.
I'm a holla.
By the way, Buckeyes.
OH.
14.5-point favorite against Nebraska. Yes, they're covering. Now, are they gonna do a Cincinnati Bearcat blowout and only win by 2 possessions, or are they going to take care of business and actually show who the real top team in the state of Ohio is, besides the Browns?
Ohio State blows out bad teams.
There you go. And a message to Lance McAllister when it comes to Nebraska. He's too busy. Oh, Michigan State, they only beat Nebraska by 3 points, blah, blah. Not all bad teams are equal. So you barely beating your bad teams is not the same as the Big Ten barely beating their bad teams. Their bad teams are better than your bad teams. And that's what the playoff has done, it's forced us to have loser arguments like that. Our bad teams are better than your bad teams. That's the epitome of petty. I mean, but it's also common sense. All right. Have a good night. Buckeyes win by 30. They bludgeon Nebraska tomorrow. They bludgeon Nebraska.
11 a.m. kickoff, by the way. Local time.
Here?
Local time. Their time.
Well, who cares about that, Kev? I mean, no, you think I'm waking up at I'm waking up to watch it at noon our time. You're going to confuse the listeners.
No, I'm talking about the players.
10:30.
The people that really matter.
10:30. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Oregon came all the way over here in a 3-hour time difference.
That's damn right.
So
still mad about that.
Yep, it is.
Without Thibodeau. Goodness gracious.
All right, folks, have a great night. Buckeye football right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Tomorrow, 10:30 coverage begins. Noon kick. It is the big noon kick, ain't it?
It is.
That speaks volumes about how crappy the lineup is tomorrow. What's the primetime game tomorrow night? The look of confusion speaks volumes about that as well.
I want to say it's Michigan and Indiana, maybe.
That would make sense because on paper, coming into the season, I would have circled that, saying that's pretty good.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the real big game, I guess, I forget who Auburn has. Auburn has somebody that's good.
Who the Bearcats have this week? Tulsa, correct?
Tulsa, yes.
Let's check that line because I need to know what line they're not going to cover this week. So I can hear Lance McAllister and the Cincinnati media cry over why the Bearcats are being disrespected. All right, so Ohio State, 14.5-point favorite. They will cover, and then some. They'll double that line. How about that? The top 10 team that's most likely to lose is who? I know I put you on the spot there, kind of.
I'm not even looking at this.
So the Bearcats are 22.5-point favorites. Tulsa played Ohio State tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that to Cincinnati. I won't call that as the upset. And I feel this is, this is cheap. I do, because it's going to happen. They're going to cry so much. I mean, that would happen to them, by the way. They cry victim in the first playoff poll that comes out, and then they have game day in town, and game day is in town to watch them lose and get upset. And then after pointing the finger at Kirk Herbstreit and blaming ESPN, they have no one to blame but themselves. And I'm going to enjoy that.
It's going to either be North Carolina beats number 9 Wake Forest, or Purdue is going to beat Sparty.
Yeah, how about that? Number 9, Wake Forest is a 2.5-point underdog at unranked North Carolina. Unreal.
2 good quarterbacks. Sam Hartman is a real good quarterback at Wake Forest.
You'll be at Frickers on Sunday morning?
Yes, sir!
Sunday morning, Frickers, Sunday morning tailgate show. Browns, Bengals, Kev Nash, Keith Byers, College Football Hall of Famer, 13-year NFL vet, Pro Bowl running back, all at Frickers in Miamisburg on 741. The show starts at 11:30. It ends at 1, right in time for the Browns to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, and that is all that matters. Cincinnati. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Here it comes. Cleveland Browns, that's who, baby. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. Buckeye football tomorrow. Sunday morning tailgate on Sunday. Browns beating them Bengals on Sunday at 1. Have a great weekend, everybody. Until Monday, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Nobody!
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places